right. We're here with Tupa and Mark. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, that was beautiful. You had Taylor Swift on.
Yeah, it's a song I had actually. The only song of hers I had on my Spotify. So I was like, oh, let's play it. And I checked to make sure it was time accurate. And yeah,
Yeah, Amy was definitely a Swiftie.
I never knew that. It's crazy. I mean, not crazy, but I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, that crazy can describe lots of stuff in this story. So, are we ready to start yet?
Yeah, let's start it. So I was thinking, I wanted to kind of go like your story, and then like separate of Amy, and then when we get to you meeting up with Amy and what you knew about her life up to that point, and then like I like just chronological, you know what I mean? And then just going through everything.
Oh, okay. Before we start, I just cracked a bottle of Johnny Walker 18, and I'm gonna pour a shot in her memory. I normally don't drink whiskey, but she was a big alcohol fan, so
You know,
cheers to
I
you,
don't
Amy.
normally drink, but I'm gonna go look for something too if I have anything around here. But you got anything?
No. No, but I love the spirit here. I'm gonna cheers with y'all in spirit. If you're out there, if you guys
And
got
if you got a
take
joint
sip.
too, like
That's
light
what
it up.
that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm gonna do
I'm
first.
opening an 805 right now. I think I have any hard liquor, but I do have an 805 right here. I never drink, so.
Yeah, she
And
was.
thank you, Mark, for doing this. But I can only imagine like your perspective on everything, right? Because like you were a friend, dated her, and then everything happened, and then now like it's kind of taken a life of its own after her death, her whole situation. So I appreciate you being here, bro. I see people trying to constantly kind of like re-traumatize you. It seems like to like it's sad, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's taken a life of its own, and what really got me to come and just decide to do this was a producer, like a real Hollywood producer, reached out this weekend and said and asked, actually last week, and asked if I would be interested in helping him make a documentary about Amy. And the scary thing about that is there's drama there, but if taken out of context, it would destroy the story. And I spoke to her father, Richard, about it. He asked me not to do it, so I declined that offer. But in lieu of that, I wanted to do this, to actually talk to the people and give my entire story and say what I saw with Amy.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting off, I was born in Monmouth County, New Jersey, January 28th, 1988, into a Jewish family.
Part of the drone wave, right?
No, 1988. I was born.
No. But I'm saying like recently, Monmouth County, New Jersey, that came up a
Oh,
lot
yes,
during the
yeah,
recent drone wave.
I have lots of siblings that saw the drones. Yes, yeah. I still live near there, but I didn't get to see them. Yeah, so I was born into like an Orthodox family, number 9 out of 11 kids.
Did 1989?
In 1988.
88, cool.
88, and went to Orthodox schools with like zero education in anything but Judaism. I got my first science book in 4th grade, and the pages on dinosaurs were all stapled together or ripped out. Yeah, it was a very interesting, lackluster childhood. When I was 13, we moved to Israel. I continued my education there. Again, there was no science books or anything. It was just no math, no English or anything. So I ended up becoming an autodidact, like learning how to learn on my own. And I was always interested in science. So you would have found me in yeshiva in between, study sessions, like in the recess, reading books on string theory and whatnot, just because I found it interesting.
What was the view of science that made your upbringing like that? How did they view science?
I don't know if there's really a they, because everyone had their own opinion, but they just didn't want to really address it because they thought it was incompatible with the teachings of the Torah. 6 days of creation versus 14 billion years old, or however many trillions or whatever years old. So they didn't really want to address it, and they just ripped those pages out of the book. So that just got me curious. I'm like, I want to know what's under the veil and learn more and more. Then I got, went to yeshiva. Eventually I got married, had a kid or two. And then, I was still always searching to try to figure out what Judaism was. And I came to the conclusion that Judaism, amongst other religions, is alien worship. Aliens came down just like Ancient Aliens, the TV show on the History Channel with 21 seasons. They should make a season about the religions, because Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, all these religions involve extraterrestrials with advanced technology. And when I realized that, I started, I was like freaking out, trying to find somebody who can refute this, because I'm just searching for the truth. I just wanted to figure out what's real and what's not. And I couldn't find anyone. And I actually got one rabbi to go off the derech, or leave the path of Judaism, as a result of me talking to him. So if I'm able to influence people that much, I thought maybe there's something to this. And then
What year, by the way, is this that you started dipping into the alien lore and stuff like that?
It was around 2016.
So you're about, what, 30 years old when that happened?
28
Cool.
years old. 28 years old when that happened. Yeah. And one interesting thing that happened that really convinced me that I was right was I came out of the closet, like in a proverbial sense, to my friends, and who were all like religious Jews, and I told them it was on the night of Pentecost when the Jews got the revelation at Mount Sinai. And it was a friend of mine's birthday, so we were having a party at his house. And I told them, guys, I think Judaism is alien worship. I think it's just a big spacecraft, and all the descriptions, fit that description. They all burst out laughing. But then I asked them for a blessing that I'll have a baby boy within a year. And sure enough, my son was born 30 seconds to the end of the Jewish year. He was born on the next Shavuot, 30 seconds before sunset. So to me, that was like, sticking a middle finger at this God figure, and telling me that the universe telling me that yes, he really was an extraterrestrial. So the next question was, how did he get here? And that's when I started looking into anti-gravity. I got the book by Paula Violette, Anti-Gravity with Present Technology, or Secrets of Anti-Gravity Technology by Paula Violette. I read that cover to cover, started playing with high voltage and different stuff, different experiments.
Before that, were you doing experiments, like, were you pretty knee deep in like science on non-stuff related to this before that, or did it all kind of happen around the same time?
I was always interested in like space science. I was like reading up on rockets and space shuttle and all that stuff. There's like videos of me as a kid. Everyone else is playing in the kitchen, and I'm like in the living room, curled up reading a book about space that I got from the library. I was always interested in space, always interested in anything interesting, or whatever I called interesting. So where was I?
2016, you're getting into the alien stuff.
Yeah, so at the time I had this business refurbishing hybrid batteries. I would, for like the Prius or the Camry hybrid. So they have this big battery in it, that nickel metal hydrate that would go bad. And
were you back in America during this time?
I was in America. Yeah, I was running
Cool.
a business. It was called Falcon Hybrid, actually, Falcon Hybrid Solutions, and I was refurbishing hybrid batteries. That's how I learned about electricity, just by doing it. I learned about DC to DC converters, AC to DC. I learned about all this stuff from hands-on experience, not from books. Now I got this new book on anti-gravity, and that was like, this is a lot more exciting than fixing batteries for people. And I started playing with it on the side, and my wife at the time didn't really like that. She was pro-gravity, I like to say. And she threw out my books in the garbage. I took them out of the garbage. She threw it out in the neighbor's garbage. And at that point, the pandemic hit, and it was time for a divorce. Got kicked out of the house, started living at the lab. And I had known about Amy around that time when I started looking into anti-gravity. I reached out to her through the Institute. This was like in 2019, 2020.
Had you already been connected with APEC and alien scientist Jeremy Reese and that whole network before you met her or connected with her?
So APEC didn't exist.
Okay.
I created APEC.
Tell the people what that is real quick too, in case they don't know.
APEC is the Alternative Propulsion Engineering Conference. I first reached out to Jeremy Reese because he was the only person doing this kind of stuff like openly on YouTube. He was the easiest to find, and he was doing a road trip to go to some archive, and I saw that he was going to pass right past my lab, so I called him up and had him stop by. We did a live stream, and we were talking about Thomas Townsend Brown, high voltage asymmetric capacitors and the thrust that they can create. I was very excited about that. It was the first time I've ever done a live stream. And I was reading every comment. And then there was one guy in one of the comments, he wrote, "Have you looked into the Alzafon experiment?" And I looked into it. I never heard of it before. Jeremy Reese, who's been doing this for 15 years at the time, never heard of Alzafon either. And that's when I found out about this thing called dynamic nuclear polarization, or orienting subatomic particle spins in order to change the way matter interacts with gravity. And it's the only experiment that I know of that can truly be called anti-gravity. And there's actually about 8 different theories as to why it would work, and they're all they can all coexist, all those theories. So with that background, I then found Amy Eskridge on YouTube as well. There was this guy, Galactic Greggs from Huntsville, who videoed her presentation at the HAL 5 conference, I think it was. And she was trying to raise money for the Institute for Exotic Science. And the Institute is basically a 501c3, or it was some sort of organization. It was a non-for-profit public benefit corporation that would take money from investors or donors and put it in a big pool and divvy it out to different inventors who would work on different projects. So Amy wasn't really working on said projects herself. She was actually the spokesperson who would, be the front for this organization in order to bring in money and figure out who to work with and so on and so forth.
What kind of people were there behind her? Was it kind of like garage type situation, or some pretty big serious people in that effort of hers?
It was all garage stuff. Yeah, it was all garage scientists. The money wasn't really there for anything larger, and great science can be done in your garage. The Wright brothers built the first airplane in their garage. There's nothing wrong with a garage. It's a great place to do science.
Real quick, I'm just going to play like probably 30 seconds or so of what you're talking about. This just so people could we're all like time traveling when we tell stories.
Different masses over both long and short distances.
So this is a presentation she had given on anti-gravity.
The orbits of the planets, and those are all things we've heard before. And anti-gravity is basically the science of modifying gravity. So anti-gravity is kind of a misnomer. It's really more gravity modification, but colloquially it's called anti-gravity.
So you come across this presentation on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and I reached out to her. We started talking. I mentioned the Alzafon experiment. She got very excited about that. Later found out why, but she got very excited about that. And so a couple months later, I'm going through divorce, living at the lab. We're in the depths of the pandemic where everything is in lockdown right now. People are spraying their groceries with isopropyl alcohol and wearing face masks everywhere. Nobody's going to work. It was like, y'all remember, it was another world back then. We're talking 2020, May of 2020, May 15th, 2020 is when I actually met Amy. I flew to Huntsville. Flights actually during the pandemic were extremely cheap and empty. Cheap.
By that point, you had been talking for how long with her online, and what was like the nature of your conversations leading up to like the initial first visit?
We were talking about science and about dating and about life in general. She was a brilliant person.
Why don't
One
you
of
right
the-
here tell us her life story up to that point? Tell us what you're about to say, and then that might be a good, yeah.
Her life story up until that point.
Yeah, like what you know of it. Let's connect the two lives right now where they're about to be. What, just what you know, no pressure, But you're saying she's brilliant and all this stuff. Like, what was her upbringing like that you know of? And
Amy Catherine Eskridge. She probably was Jewish, actually. So she found out that she's 12.5% Ashkenazi Jew, and her great grandmother on the maternal side was from an orphanage during the Holocaust, and that's from mother to mother to mother. So she probably was Jewish. She is the middle child of three. She has an older brother and a younger brother. And
so she's German Jewish then, right? Too. Sorry,
she would have, yeah, she would have been, but her parents just genetically, not no upbringing at all like that. Her parents, her mother is Kathy, I think, and her father is Richard, and they live in Joppa, Alabama, which is on the outskirts of Huntsville. And
is that where she grew up?
yes, I believe so. I'm not sure what year they bought that farm, but it's a big property. Like the closest neighbor is a mile away.
Because her dad's super connected, right? So she was like kind of raised in this kind of orbit of like aerospace, defense. Can you maybe speak about that?
Yeah. So her dad, Richard, worked with the likes of John Brandenburg, Tony Robertson, and they had as part of one of the side projects of Huntsville. Huntsville is famous for making the rocket engines that got us to the moon, and they had a side project looking into alternative propulsion concepts. And Richard was on one of those teams, and he was researching some of that stuff, and he come across something interesting, and that's what Amy is talking about when she said, anti-gravity technology. She's really talking about what her father discovered. And actually what her father discovered, it's not covered up or anything like that. You can read it. There's he published a paper. It's called the Pope Osborne Poems or something like that. The Pope Osborne. It relates to the spin coupled force. I'll get into that later. So Amy was married to her high school sweetheart, and she divorced a couple years later, no kids. At the time that I met her, she was living at her parents' house, running the institute. So I flew down there in May of 2020, and we met for the first time. Brilliant scientist. She was extremely smart. She went to the Huntsville University, or University of Alabama, Huntsville, to study biology. And she was supposed to get a PhD, but she had some allegations of sexual harassment by her professor, and they basically kicked her out of school, or they had a whole tribunal and decided to keep the professor and have her leave. So she never really got her PhD because of that. But regardless, she was a very intelligent person. I was enamored by her intellect. I wanted to figure out what is this anti-gravity stuff that she keeps talking about. She talked about it in like secret terms, and was very interested in there was a lot of emphasis on who controls it, what they're going to do with it. It kind of gave you the feeling like we're going to take over the world here. We're super powerful. Kind of gets to your ego when you talk to somebody like that. We'd go around to bars in Huntsville, and I was never a big drinker, but like following her around, like it was tough to keep up with her. And she readily talked to anybody about it without spilling her secret sauce, which I think is how a lot of the attention that she got, came from, because Huntsville is known as one of the prime locations where people would go, where other countries would go for corporate espionage. There's a lot of spies in Huntsville, so it's not surprising that there was a lot of people listening, and they hear this little Alabama girl talking about that she's got anti-gravity going on in the garage, and they were probably interested in that.
Did she tell you like when she got into really got into it and wanted it to be her life's work? Like, was she always into the UFO stuff as a kid, or like when did she really go all in to the anti-grav? Do you know?
So she was first working. She was doing something with crypto first, and forgive me, this is not. She was doing something with crypto, and that fell through. And then she moved back home, and was started the Institute for Exotic Science. Yeah, that's about all I remember about her previous positions, but it stemmed from the work that her dad did. She never actually did any work in that field other than the Institute, which is a method of funding people to work in this, and delegating, broadening the risk across many different projects, so that somebody can invest, and you're not just investing in one project, you're investing in 1/10 of 10 projects, so that if 2 of them are successful and the rest fail, at least you'll get a return on investment. That was the idea behind the Institute. Yes, I met her in May of 2020. She then came to New Jersey and stayed with me at the lab for a little bit. That was very interesting. When she came here to New Jersey, we were sitting on the couch, and in the other room, and there was, she was always talking about these energy weapons that were attacking her, and the
Wait, can you go into that first before you and her in New Jersey? What was she saying before she got to you about so I didn't realize so the harassment and stuff was already happening when you kind of came into her fold.
Yeah, it was going on. It was part of her life at that point. It was it was pretty nuts. I wasn't sure what to make of it. I wanted to see it myself, see whether this, is she completely nuts?
Did she tell you when it started, or was there a trigger point that really, that's when it's all right, you're on some list now, this happened because I did or said this, or a year even when it really started?
It started when she started talking about anti-gravity, I believe. Yeah.
As soon as she did that and his presentations on YouTube, she started. What was she describing was happening to her before she met you, and you also experienced it? What was she saying was happening before?
There was these energy attacks, Havana syndrome. It was happening with her and her husband. I think his name's Michael, and basically splitting headaches, feeling like your skin's on fire. That follows with nausea and vomiting. There was muscle spasms, and I saw all that firsthand, like that, and it was also accompanied with email attacks. There was hacking attempts, and she was always talking about her secret space program handlers. She thought that some of her boyfriends were actually agents for the secret space program, and they were there to handle her, to report back to their superiors or something like that.
What did you think of those claims at the time, and what do you think of them now with hindsight?
I can't say for certain whether they're true or not, but I did see some strange shit.
Yeah, so let's get into that then. When she visited you, and I think this is what you talked about with Tupac on the stream, where a whole van and stuff like that. Go into as much detail as you can about that event and what happened there.
Yeah, so when she was here, we were sitting on the couch, and we had just made popcorn. We we're going to watch a movie, and the popcorn in the bowl started to pop again. And, it already cooled off, so it started to pop again. and
Whoa.
she started to like.
And you witnessed that yourself
It was in my
too?
It was in my hand,
Wow.
and she started to like scream and vomit. And she's telling me they're attacking us. They're attacking us. I opened up the door where the energy weapon would have been emanating from, because it was just in line with the couch, and sure enough, parked across the street in where there was a parking lot. But the parking lot is for a restaurant. The restaurant was closed because of the pandemic. The car was parked not in a parking spot, but like facing the door. And the front windshield was tinted, which is illegal. The front windshield of the car was tinted. And I thought that was very suspicious. I ran back inside. We went into the Faraday cage, and she was like trembling. We were like really scared about that. Simultaneously, they hacked my Amazon account and put a gun in the checkout, like a BB gun, Glock, whatever. I have a screenshot of that. So
If you could send me that and the van, I believe
it
you said you
wasn't.
took a photo of the
It
van
wasn't
too,
a
right?
van. It was a sedan. It was a sedan.
The
Yeah.
van.
Uh,
And you got a photo of that too? If you could send me those, that'd be great.
There was another one that was parked up the street. I didn't get the one that was across the street directly. Left before I could get a picture. And also, I'm kind of in shock. I wasn't really expecting to go outside and see anything. I thought it was, I'm trying to be rational over here. I didn't really expect to see anything when I opened the door. So, yeah, there definitely was, high strangeness and espionage going on with that. I'll send you whatever pictures I have from that event. So we went into the Faraday cage and to protect us from whatever weapon it was, and I think it stopped at that point. She also had these weird tremors and constant body pain. She was taking medication for that. I mean, the kind of stuff that was going on in her life was enough to make anyone crazy. Constant harassment, and I don't really understand what they were trying to accomplish by doing it. But I would hazard a guess that it was because she was talking about anti-gravity without actually talking about anti-gravity. She wasn't saying what she was doing. She was just saying that she has the secret sauce. And there's nothing more intriguing to a spy agency than to hear that you have the secret sauce, but you're not sharing it. For me, if you want to learn about what we're doing, you can just subscribe to APEC and watch our latest podcast. We're totally open source about that. I haven't had any Havana syndrome attacks or any hacking, ever since I stopped talking to Amy, or dealing with Amy. But
do you have any guesses on who it might have been?
The best guess we have is that it was China.
What drew you guys to those conclusions?
And this is not my guys. This is my opinion based on. So one email she got that she thought was a phishing hack. She went into the metadata of it, and I don't know what she was doing, but eventually she came to the conclusion that phishing email came from China. Great. There's another group that was also doing anti-gravity research in Texas, Midland, Texas. What's their name again? Whatever. It's another company researching stuff like this. They also came to the conclusion that China was doing espionage on their work as well, and it's logical. That being said, the level of high strangeness and the number of people involved that were American, like if any of her boyfriends were actually handlers or anything, that would point to a much deeper story. So where are we at? So right after
March
that,
2020, your visit after the Havana attack.
Yeah, that was probably in June, actually, June of 2020. So she goes back to Huntsville. I went back to Huntsville again. And
Are you guys like boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, or is it like casual kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah, we were dating. It was yeah, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. I was more interested. It wasn't really like I wasn't flying to Huntsville for pussy. You know, I wasn't really interested in her for her body. I was more interested in the anti-gravity stuff, which was a lot more exciting, to be honest. And I wanted to work with her dad. I wanted to set up shop there. We went looking for houses to, like, you know, those movable houses that you can move onto her property. They own like 10 acres. It's like a huge piece of land. I'm like, we could set up shop over here. There's these cheap houses. I was, you know, all open to cool ideas and, you know, moving this anti-gravity stuff that they apparently have forward.
What was
So
it
I
like
got to
when you
meet
met
her.
her dad? Oh, perfect. Yeah. What was it like meeting her dad?
Yeah. So when I got to meet her dad, um, she introduced me as, "Hey, this is Mark. He's working on the Alzafon experiment." And her dad was like really excited about that. That's really cool. And her dad is like a really sweet old man. He's very soft spoken. A wonderful guy. I really like her dad. Her dad likes me too. He actually told me last week that I was his favorite, one of Amy's boyfriends.
That's nice to hear. That's sweet.
Yeah, that was very sweet. I'm the only one who was actually working on similar stuff, so maybe that's why
What was
why he
his
liked it.
take on UFOs and anti-gravity and all this stuff? Her father.
Her father was a, you know, true believer. He believed that it's real. He thinks that there's this other force. And before Amy would tell me about it, she made me sign a non-disclosure agreement, which I signed. And then she went on to tell me about the spin couple force. And I could tell you everyone about this right now because they already published their paper, so it's all public domain. Um, Spin couple force is basically when you have an object spinning, such as the Earth, and you spin an object in the same direction as that spinning object, an attraction or repulsion forms. So planet Earth is spinning around its axis, and if you spin something along, you know, facing the star Polaris, depending on the direction of spin, you will have either an attraction or, you know, a repulsion. I've experimented with this. I ran an experiment inside of the Faraday cage. I combined rotating magnets with high voltage in a little rig that was facing the North Star, and sure enough, it did work. So I can confirm there is some sort of spin couple force relating to Earth's rotation and any other rotation that you have going on. It's not very strong. We're talking about, you know, a force measured in grams over a device that is, you know, rotating pretty quickly. Other forms of spin couple force are magnetism. Magnetism is a spin couple force. That's a spin of electrons orienting other electrons, creating attraction or repulsion. They basically found another form of magnetism. There's other forms of magnetism, and that's what the Alzafon experiment is with dynamic nuclear polarization. Orienting subatomic particle spins is another form of magnetism too, because it's basically quantum magnetism. Like you're orienting the quanta, and that actually creates a magnetic field in the nucleus too. That's the Overhauser effect. The person who discovered this effect back in 1953, which is a conspicuous year because that's right before anti-gravity was truly discovered, and they built the alien reproduction vehicle. So the science for that was the paper written by Overhauser in 1953.
Yeah, same year as the Robertson panel too, when they went all in on debunking on TV.
Yep. That's the year when the cover up really like went full. You know, when it really started going full force. Something conspicuous about that paper, he wrote that when you're orienting subatomic particle spins, we're talking about protons and neutrons, their spin is being oriented to each other. If you release the mechanism to orient them, there's a spin down time, and it's dependent on temperature. So the warmer, the hotter it is, the more these thermal processes will spin help spin down the system, so it would spin down faster, which is why experiments that involve dynamic nuclear polarization, electron paramagnetic resonance, or nuclear magnetic resonance. If you guys are familiar with an MRI machine, it works on a similar principle. They work better at cryogenic temperatures. So obviously, they can't freeze a human body, which is why they have to use very powerful magnetic fields in order to see anything. But what he discovered was that even at liquid helium temperatures, which is like near 0 Kelvin, there was still an appreciably fast decay time. It was 100 times faster than that predicted by theory of, the math just didn't add up. And he wrote there must be another mechanism acting upon the spin in order to disorient it. Alzafon came along years later and said what's acting upon it is gravity, because gravity is made up of is an attractive force made up of matter that is spinning incoherently. The incoherent spins of the Earth are acting upon the sample to make it incoherent as well. So if gravity has to do work upon your sample in order to make it incoherent, maintaining the coherent state, the spin coherency, would be anti-gravity. So that's why I could actually call this experiment anti-gravity for real. It's not a misnomer. It's actually anti-gravity.
Is it all super small scale right now, or like, do you suspect the government has this on something that a human can ride in?
I don't think this is a government cover-up. I think this is a secret space program or military-industrial complex. The people that discovered it back in the days were not government officials. It was your Lockheed Martins and your Northrop Grummans. It wasn't elected officials. It lost. I think during Eisenhower, it lost control. The government lost control of it. And that's all speculation. But moving forward, dating Amy was a really interesting affair. Like normally, when you're dating somebody, you guys fight on, you could fight over money, you could fight over relationship. Oh, you looked at that girl too nice. We were fighting over the definition of an electron or the hyperfine coupling. It was a very strange relationship. It was pretty interesting.
Like full-on fights or like playful fights?
No. Like she got angry, like literally angry. She called me names and fuck and this and that, like cursing her. She had a nasty mouth. Like she was a spicy Alabama girl, and there was lots of curses and lots of other stuff. Also, I tend to notice that people that crossed her or people that were in any way in competition with her, she would find a lot of stuff to say about them. John Brandenburg actually warned me about her. And
What did he tell you about her?
Oh, he told me that anything she says about him is not true.
She famously called him evil.
Oh, she called him much worse than that in person.
So she's cutthroat.
Yeah,
A little bit.
She's really cutthroat, and her dad told me that about her too. And I mean, honestly, I had no problem putting up with it for a while because I just wanted the science to come out, and I was just begging them to put out their paper and move this science forward. And there was a constant fear of being hacked. They had computers with they had computers where they were like desoldering the Wi-Fi card so that nobody could hack the computer. And then, yeah, it was nuts.
How many people were part of the institute, and they all faced similar kind of treatment?
No, it felt like the harder you try to keep it a secret, the harder they will fight to figure out what you're doing. That's kind of what it was. It was
almost like it was like a bluff that all this was kind of happening on, because like no one really knew what she had, but just the thought of her having it led to all this stuff.
Yeah, it was like it was like the ultimate bluff. Oh, I have the secret to life in the universe, but I'm not going to share it with you, and I'm ripping the Wi-Fi card out of my computer so you can't find it. So imagine what an espionage, the Chinese or the secret space program, or whoever it was, whoever the people that were in charge of this espionage. Imagine what they would do in order to get whatever it was that they're hiding.
I think she said 2 Russian gangs were kind of gang stalking her for a while or two. Do you know about the Russian influence on that? What do you think about that? Because I've heard that also, just sidebar. And actually for you too, like I've been collecting a lot of these gang stalking stories from recent times. And there's a few that really remind me of hers. And one of them is this girl named Allie Clark. I guess I'll just tell you really quick, TLDR. She had done something for Bezos or something like that. And basically Lou Elizondo kind of came in her fold. And there was a few of these instances where she's at a bar and like a guy would come up and start talking to her and like saying things to her. Street theater, I'm sure you're familiar with the term, but basically saying things to her of conversations she had with Lou Elizondo. And then she actually like got roofied there, which I know is a similar thing to what Amy described in that one interview you guys have where these street theater moments happen, people dropping knowledge on you, you get roofied. So yeah, there's a few of these stories around and I find them very concerning. But basically, yeah, hers included Russians. On Jolly, another community member who I feel has in the past around 2020 was facing some of this. Her street theater gang stalking stories involve Russians and Russian accents. Do you have any thoughts on the Russian connection here?
It's possible the Russians were involved too. I have no idea. I mean,
Okay.
I never really got to meet anyone that was involved on the other side. It was kind of always in the shadows, and it stopped as soon as I stopped being connected to Amy. So I don't think it's the anti-gravity research itself. I think it was more of I got the secret sauce and hiding it. It's this you put a nice term on it before, but
Bluff.
yeah, it's the bluff. It's the bluff that they were chasing.
And do you think she actually had it or no, right?
No, she didn't have anything. Like it was her father that had everything. And her father, everything that her father had is public knowledge. It's all in a paper. The Pope Osborne spin whatever force it's called Poems. You can look it up. He published the paper back in 2022 or something like that. After me and Amy broke up, he finally published the paper, which I'm very glad about. So for anyone who's out there saying that there was a cover up and they're killing her for the science, I don't buy that. So
you're dating. Okay, how about this? While you were dating, Jeremy Reese, and I've seen some posts, and he's kind of spoken about it. He was under the impression that she was like a honeypot, right? And that she had maybe, I think at one conference or something, kind of prevented you guys from presenting something. Can you maybe speak on that dynamic and why Jeremy thought that?
Oh, okay. That's after we broke up. So Amy had this thing of have you heard of the law of attraction? What you think
Yes.
What you think about, you bring about. So I live my life by that principle. Everyone lives their life by that principle, whether they know it or not. It's true. What you think about, you attract to yourself. And whatever. And Amy had that to a very, very strong degree. And at some point, she decided that I was an agent of some sort, and I was trying to steal anti-gravity disclosure from her. I kid you not.
How many months into your relationship was that? And is that kind of what?
It was a couple of months in, maybe like 3 or 4 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but she believed that I was trying to steal her God-given right to disclose to the world how anti-gravity works. And that's why we broke up.
Wow. And that's honestly sad because it's like you clearly weren't, right? But you could see where she's coming from if she's getting fucked with for so many years and stuff like that. I mean, not to make it about us, but it's like me and Tipo have been through some weird shit lately, and it just really makes you like you're paranoid, right? And I could understand why she would be there at that time.
And the paranoia leads to you doing shit that is detrimental to what you were trying to achieve. And in a sense, what she did as a result of that belief led to that actually happening. So right now I run the biggest anti-gravity research lab in the world that I know of. And a lot of that is thanks to Amy. Amy actually breaking up with me and throwing all this negative energy, because I took all her lemons and turned it into lemonade. And let me show you how that happened. So we broke up. Okay, great. She didn't just break up with me. I had her in some chat groups with Jeremy Reese, Jeremiah Pop, and a bunch of others, and she was talking shit to everyone. She made me shut down the group. This was the first Falcon Space WhatsApp chat where we were just talking anti-gravity and alternative propulsion concepts. Everyone had their own jobs. You know, they weren't really working on this full time. And she was blowing up that chat, calling everyone names and stuff. And people were.
She thought you guys were all in on it or something?
I don't know what she thought. I can go back and read you some of those chat messages.
Was she a little like not crazy, but you know what I mean? Like it would make anyone do that, but like you know what I'm saying, right? Like was she a little crazy at times, you think? Like would she have flare ups, you know what I mean?
She definitely would have flare ups. And her dying wish was not to be called crazy.
Okay.
Just
We won't do that.
just to be perfectly honest there, she talked about it a lot. But yeah, anyone that went through all of that, it's understandable why she would why they would become paranoid and start believing these things. Now, like I told you, the belief that I was going to steal anti-gravity disclosure from her became a self-fulfilling prophecy, because as a result of that, we ended up breaking up. The lab at her house never happened. And I had already gotten this invite to join the Estes Park conference, which was supposed to be held in Estes Park, Colorado. James Woodward was in charge of the conference, along with another guy named Hal, not Hal Puthoff, it was a different Hal. And the conference was canceled in person, and they shifted it over to a Zoom conference. So great. They just sent out a Zoom link, and I had, it was CC'd. I saw an entire big list of people, and I was on the conference. We were listening to it. We actually videotaped it too, because we were so excited. I broken up with Amy. I got together with Jeremiah Pop, and he came to my lab, and we were doing actual work, instead of just talking about it.
On that post breakup energy of like, I'm going to show them.
Yeah, it was the post breakup energy. I'm going to show her. I'm going to do some real shit. And then at the conference, I was telling everyone, I wasn't on the schedule, but I was told everyone what we're doing. And they said, okay, you know what, tomorrow morning before we start, why don't you give us a rundown? As I'm getting ready to get this rundown going, Amy shows up. And she opens her mic, and with her Alabama spiciness, she's like, Mark is in violation of my NDA, blah, blah, blah. Don't let him talk. And sure enough, they didn't want to be involved in that. So they kicked us out of the conference, or they let us watch, but our mic was muted.
This was just like a post breakup spite thing from her. It wasn't like
yeah. I mean, I was going to talk about the Alciphon experiment, which she has zero control over. It was just maybe it came out of fear. I don't know what it was, but and then the following day, she sent us a cease and desist from her lawyer, and that was really exciting, because I took that cease and desist and I printed it out and I put it in a frame, and it's hanging on my office ever since. That cease and desist, Jeremy Reese and friends, we went onto YouTube and said, NASA's trying to shut down our anti-gravity lab. And as a result of that, we actually got funding. We found somebody who was watching us for a long time finally came out of the woodworks and decided to fund our research lab. What followed next was, because we were kicked out of this anti-gravity or advanced propulsion conference that was basically just a Zoom link and an email list. That's all it really was. Jeremiah was here at the time. He was staying with me. We were sleeping on air mattresses in the lab. I didn't even have a house. I was just living here in the lab. We made a makeshift shower. It was very rudimentary. It was very like raw bones. We're gonna get this shit done. I looked at Jeremiah and I'm like, you know, this entire conference is nothing more than an email list and a Zoom account. Like, we can do this ourselves. He's like, yes, we got to do it. And I said, and I know the person to run it. His name is Tim Ventura. So I had watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, you know, from different conferences, and I found this guy named Tim Ventura, who he was like the master of ceremony for the Tesla Tech conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I mean, he apparently only did it like for a year or two, but I saw a video of that and I thought, this is the guy to talk to, because he's already done this. He's already ran conferences in person. I reached out to him, and his first piece of advice was, keep it simple. It's like herding cats. If you make it too official, people will be afraid. I took his advice. We were going to call it the Anti-Gravity Engineering Conference, the AEC. But then had a back and forth conversation in this Falcon Space Chat, and then we decided on the Alternative Propulsion Engineering Conference. The name was like changed last minute, and it started on November 11th, 2020. I sent out an email, and I took Jack Sarfati's email list. Jack Sarfati is a famous scientist, researcher who has a big email list of a whole bunch of people that he harasses.
Infamous email list.
Infamous email list. It's like email list on top of email list. And I took the other email list from the from Estes Park, combined them together, and I sent out an email, and it said, open discussion from the anti-gravity lab starting in half an hour with the Zoom link. And sure enough, people showed up. Tim Ventura wasn't even on the first APEC. That was the first APEC conference. It was
And is that what, 2020?
That was November 11th, 2020.
Okay, cool. And is that shortly after you guys had broken up and you're all on your post-breakup energy? Cool, that's how APEC started. Wow, so Amy kind of started APEC.
Amy started APEC in the same, yes, yeah, in a way, in a backwards way, she kind of started APEC. And sadly enough, she never actually got joined APEC because she was very sour about it. And I'll get to that in a bit.
I thought this might be fun just because you brought it up. This is physicist Matthew Sedegas on Danny Jones a few weeks ago, just talking about that email list. Just a little fun little break of brevity, you know.
Jack Sarfati said I was a Russian agent.
He's friends with Russia.
Now he's friends with Russia. I know.
He brags that Putin.
I know.
Putin invited me to Russia 16 times.
No, he didn't. And Trump did not invite him to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And so yeah. Look, like I said, look, if Jack is listening to this, if you take me off your email list, Jack, I will proclaim to everyone you are the greatest scientist who ever lived. I will do anything if you just stop fucking emailing me.
Oh, Jack.
Everyone knows about that email list, huh?
Yeah, that's a famous email list. I've been on it. He started doing BCC for his email list now, so you don't get the entire email list. You just get Jack and his latest conversation with Grok. That's pretty much what it is, or what it's become.
Oh yeah, he got full-blown AIDS. Which we call around here, it's artificial intelligence induced derangement syndrome. A lot of people in this community have it, and they all think that they've cracked everything because ChatGPT is telling them everything they want to hear about themselves.
He's got full-blown AIDS. I see Jared is laughing his head off. Yes,
It's a serious thing.
It's actually like a whole ass pandemic, especially in this community, right? Where everyone's already kind of on esoteric shit.
I've seen so many people that have that. Like, I get an email from this guy who just filed like 5 patents that AI wrote for him, and like I don't even think he read them himself.
The patent office right now must be fucking flooded. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
flooded right now, dude.
I mean, all a patent is really just a legal piece of paper to sue. That's all it is. It's the right to sue somebody, and you have the right to sue somebody even without it. But that's all it really is. There's very few cases of patents that actually, went through with their with the entire lawsuit involving them, and they usually involve very big companies and very mass produced products.
Can we go back maybe just a little bit to the famous interview, right, that everyone's seen of her and you and Jeremy, who's muted? Do you remember what month that was? Was that when you guys were dating or after? I assume, yeah.
That was while we were dating. Yeah, that's the only way that interview would have happened. Yeah, that was while we were dating, and I should apologize to Lou Elizondo and to what's his name, to Hal Puthoff. I was just parroting whatever Amy had told me. Those weren't really my thoughts on the matter.
Lou is pretty much evil. We've confirmed, but that's our words, not yours. But what was she saying about them? Did she ever tell you more about those because those are some big statements that have taken off on their own. Actually, and you know what? For the room, I'm gonna go ahead and play them. Just give me like 20 seconds. Tupa, go in there.
Yeah.
What did you think when you heard those, Tupa?
She had a lot to say about a lot of people in the field, including the Mr. Disclosure. What's his name?
Corbell?
No.
Greer too.
Stephen Greer. She had a lot to say about John Brandenburg. She thought John Brandenburg was sexually harassing her.
Real quick. Here's the clips. I'm gonna run the clips real quick, and we'll get first. We'll focus on just the claims about Lou. And here's your voice in your 2020 self.
Yeah, and Hal. You know who Hal really
How's a
is?
liar though?
Hal is the doctor from Stranger Things who will torture little alien kids.
No, he is.
Get all the juice out of their brain. And
Hal is actually extremely evil.
Yes.
No, I've met the man. He's extremely evil. He's very quiet. He listens more than he talks. But you can tease things out of him, but it's only what he wants you to tease out of him. He's like a nice old grandpa. Like you talk to him and he's like quiet and sweet and gentle, like a nice old grandpa. But he's evil as fuck.
Jeremy's
It's
muted.
creepy. Lou is evil. Brandenburg is evil. Brandenburg is like super evil.
And then one more real quick before we continue. Here we go.
Because he was like, I'm going to bring George Knapp and blah, 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 and we'll film. But Lou said the same thing. Lou was like, oh, we're filming the second season of the TTSA show on the History Channel, and we'll come do an episode about Huntsville. Like, I want to bring Tom DeLonge and Steve Justice and Hal and blah, blah, blah people to your house. And he told me that the U.S. government would give me a shit ton of money to keep me from selling it to China. And so I called him and I'm like, can you refer me to an active U.S. Army general, please, to talk about this transaction? And he was like, radio silence. Like I asked him to refer me to active military and that killed the conversation. But yeah, they fuck with me. I'm tired of it.
Okay, so maybe if we could focus here on the Hal and Lou stuff she was saying. Do you know anything about her interactions with either of those people, or why she would like say those kinds of things?
She had. I don't recall. I remember she didn't like Jan Harzan, who was the head of MUFON at the time. And she didn't.
Who later got busted for like.
Yeah. He later got busted for like kitty porn. And she said John Brandenburg sexually harassed her, and she had nothing nice to say about Hal, like you just heard. And
did she go into more about this this money promise that she talked about here from Lou? Like we're gonna to keep China from getting it, because the thing is too, even with Allie Clark and some of these other people, I'm not trying to make this a Lou show, but this is a pattern I've seen. But can you back me up on this? Where it's like Lou's promising people money or contracts or this or that in exchange for like whatever info they have, like gleaming the info. And I don't know if you heard too, I did a space with Deep Prasad where he's talking about when Amy Eskridge met Lou Elizondo. He introduced them 2019 SCU conference. Yeah. So and even then Lou was all like trying to find out about her anti-gravity. So what do you think about that too? And then we'll go back to Falcon here.
Well, I want to hear from Falcon. I mean, like,
Okay.
again, there's these things that we hear from people, right? But I mean, I mean, you're here. So what don't we know? What piece can we add to that puzzle, if anything, from your angle?
I don't recall exactly her telling me much about Lou or Hal. But it wasn't really one of the main topics of our conversation.
Yeah, it's a wild statement, right? Like, so would she ever talk
But
about
it's
them
not just a wild
beforehand?
statement. She made statements like that against a lot of people.
That's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah. There was a lot of drama surrounding Amy. I mean, there was very few people that she would say.
In your opinion, was it like unnatural? Was it like a lot of drama she was facing, or was it her personality? What drew that in your opinion?
All of the above, and probably the harassment and all that other stuff that was going on in her life. The espionage, all contributed to it. I don't think there's one single thing that you can point at and say this is why that happened. But in general, anyone that gave her money or like that was a part of the institute in some way or form was her friend. And
We do have it from Deep, right? That they actually did meet, and there at least was a conversation between Amy Eskridge and Lou Elizondo about anti-gravity. And there, like I said, there's this pattern of like Lou promising stuff, which I would imagine if China's doing it, our own people are trying to do it too, just to figure out what she has. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to figure out what they.
Yeah,
had.
you were trying to do it too. Yeah, right.
I was trying to do it too. I decided, you know what, I'm single, she's single. Let's date. Let's kill two birds in one stone.
See, China, you just got to get a nice Jewish boy.
Yeah,
Don't need the vans in Havana.
Yeah, a nice Jewish boy. Let's figure out what they got and make it real. Like I didn't want to. I didn't come there to steal it from them. I came there to build it. She decided that I was there to steal anti-gravity disclosure from her, and my response to that was, "Beat me to it. Go do it. You got everything you need. All you got to do is hit publish." She didn't like that, and we ended up seeing each other in different ways, and it was a very interesting relationship. It was one. It was one of. It wasn't your typical boyfriend girlfriend thing. Like you normally fight over simple things in life, and here we're arguing about science. And I actually had that with Jeremiah too. Like I remember once getting into a fight with him about the definition of an electron, and it got so heated he like was pounding his fist on the table and like getting ready to throw punches. So, and I love Jeremiah. I love Jeremiah to death.
Here's another question I have from you. There's a rumor. I've heard a few people say that like she briefed Trump, or there's this document going around. And also, I think I've heard Frank Milburn say that she was on a call with like some real high up defense people. Do you know anything about that dynamic for her? Was she in actual government briefing things, or that document? Have you come across that document?
I wouldn't be surprised if she was on some Zoom call, because she had a way of getting herself involved and talking to higher ups. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in that regard. As far as doing the actual work, she wasn't involved in doing any actual work. She was involved in talking about people doing actual work.
Got it. But she was. Do you know these high level? What are some like high level examples that you know of for sure? It's like, oh, I know she did talk to that person, or you know what I mean? Not necessarily Trump, or but just anything of that kind of thing.
I know Samuel Ried, who's in charge of geometric space, is putting that satellite on the moon with paid for with Dogecoin. Was involved with her at the institute. Deep Prasad, but Deep wasn't really anything back then. He was just a kid. There was Stephen Greer.
So her and Stephen Greer brushed up against each other, huh? What was that like, or what do you know about that?
There was some email that we sent Stephen, and I don't remember exactly, but there was a conversation going on over there, and she didn't like Stephen Greer either.
What about him?
he did something to her or something like that, and he wronged her in some way, and blah blah blah. I don't remember all the details of all this stuff, and I'm not gonna just make shit up.
Yeah, sometimes when she would this wronging thing, it sounds like she's a kind of petty, like not in a bad way. Like Tuba's that way. I'm probably that way too. But was it sometimes her own doing too, right? Or was she just getting fucked with because she's a pretty girl and old creepy dudes like to think they could like pull some shit on her?
No, I think she just wanted the drama and the attention that surrounded it. That's my opinion. That's what I saw.
And have you talked to Brandenburg? Like this whole she's evil thing too. Do you think that's like that isn't?
Oh yeah. I talked to Brandenburg. She claimed that Brandenburg stole her dad's science experiment, and he was trying to sexually assault her or something like that. So anyways, we got APEC started, and Tim Ventura is going on over there. He's running the conference. Haven't heard from Amy in a while. I tried talking to her again, and that didn't end very well.
She was just like not about it at all, or did she kind of talk to you for a bit and it blew up again?
We talked for just text messages, and they're like super long text messages. Lots of hurtful things. You're stealing my anti-gravity disclosure. She briefly started a Twitter account called Anti-Gravity Messiah, and she was like hinting at certain things that would come in the future. Eventually she dropped that.
Is that official or like a sock puppet type thing?
It was a sock puppet thing. It wasn't. It was her. It was she was making the account, but
you talk shit with it and stuff too.
She didn't really talk shit with it. She was like, "There's going to be secret things that come out that you all are going to know are true." Blah 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 blah. The account is now deleted. I don't think you can find it anymore. Maybe there's a way to look into it.
Try.
Yeah, anti-gravity Messiah. It even had a pretty cool logo too. Remember that. So yeah, fast forward a few years. We tried to get Amy onto APEC. Tim Ventura had a call with her, and she sent him this really long email that she claimed that I raped her. And yeah, it was pretty graphic. It was the first time I've ever heard this allegation, and it was like 18 months after we broke up. So Tim Ventura reached out to her, "Hey, would you like to come and present at this conference?" And her response is, "I don't want to present at your conference because Mark raped me." Well, I'll tell you for 100%, I did not rape Amy Eskridge. That never happened. What I think she was trying to do is just destroy APEC. She wanted it to be hers. That was really her goal, was to make a community like APEC, and that's what she was trying to do through the institute. Tim,
She was that spiteful, huh, to make up stuff like that about you?
well, she didn't just do it about me. She did it about several people. Her in college, she did it against her professor. I don't know what happened over there. I asked her dad about it because I heard about this while I was still dating her, and he told me I wish she talked to me about it first, because I would have been able to have a conversation with him and maybe work things out. But she just went straight to management and told them that he sexually assaulted her. And the way they resolved that is by kicking her out of college, and she lost out on her PhD.
And what month was this email? Let me see. I see it's up. Someone posted. So this is 2021 October. So it's about a year after you guys had already broken up. And yeah, anyone could go read it. I see it constantly used by people to try and like discredit anything you say. Yeah, and so you're just saying unequivocally untrue,
Yeah,
and you think she just made it up to spite APEC.
kind of thing.
Yeah, to destroy APEC and to destroy Tim working with me. Tim Ventura is not he's not an idiot. He called her up right away. He didn't even tell me about the email because the email went straight to him. It didn't go to me. He called her up right away. He spoke to her for hours, and he determined from what she said that it wasn't true.
Can you go into a little more about that convo or what you know about it or how he came to that determination?
I would rather if you talk to Tim.
Yeah, I'll talk to Tim. I'm gonna try and do these with everyone. I'm trying to do one with Deep, Alien Protocols, probably Frank Milburn. She had a childhood friend who popped on this app a few months ago and then popped off. I'm gonna try and get her in one too, and just kind of build a full picture from everyone. Jeremy Reese too. Who else would you recommend actually?
You should. I think you had Frank Milburn on already, and Frank joined the picture much later. So Frank joined after she was already falling apart and on these medications that we'll get into later. But and Frank never actually met her in person. But Tim Ventura did his own research into that, and I don't want to put any words into Tim's mouth. I'd rather Tim, talk for himself about that, how he came to that conclusion. But he decided that this was complete lunacy, and nothing happened over here other than there's a spiteful girl who's trying to get back at her ex. It's very hurtful to see stuff like that written about me. It's extremely graphic, and
yeah, it's sad. And then in the greater context of her having passed and you having to process that trauma as someone who knew her, and dated her at some point, and then have all these fucking no-name accounts. I see it all the time, you know what I mean? And so I can only imagine what that feels like. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, it's really tough to work through, and I mean it's out there in the public domain, so I guess I have to address it. Her dad knows about it. He apologized to me for it, but she took her life, and she's not here anymore, so I can't really. I can't address it with her directly on a live stream like this, and for you guys to make your own decision. She's not here anymore. But the people that talked to her when she made it up are still alive. You could talk to Tim Ventura about that. And I sure hope that you do.
Yeah.
So after that happened, Tim sent me the email afterwards, and I had a long conversation with him. And APEC continued on. Amy never joined APEC. Her father never joined APEC, even though her father's doing real research. So it's very sad that she fought it in that way, rather than.
You said her father did join APEC?
No, he never did.
Oh, never.
He watched a few of them. John Brandenburg joined it. Everyone else on his team did. I met everyone that was on his team, and I worked with them. John Brandenburg was at Kepler. What's his name? Tony Robertson is now working on the Podkletnov experiment. I was helping him with that as well. The gravity impulse experiment, not the spinning disc one. So, yeah, all those people are working on real science. John Brandenburg is getting really old. He suffered from a heart attack recently. So, but Tony Robertson's still working on real research right now. He recently got funding, and he's working out of his garage. So there are people doing real research that are still, from the original team at Huntsville, NASA Huntsville, that are still doing great science. So fast forward, when did she pass away?
So I think that was April 2021. The email was, and then so now she passed away. I believe it was
October
2022 is when she passed away. I think it was like in the summer.
Yeah, it was sometime in July, I believe. Yeah. So then I heard.
So wait, real quick though. After the email, you had no contact with her really until she had passed away. And I guess I'll just read to her obituary. It was June 11th, 2022. Actually, I'll save the obituary for then.
Let me pull up my messages and actually see if I did, because we were still texting.
I'm sure you hit her up like, what the fuck, dude? You're fucking telling people you know what I mean, did this? I'd imagine.
Yeah, I did. I did message her. I messaged her dad too, um, Richard, and no, the poor fellow. I don't think he really had the heart to deal with it. Um, you know, yeah, October 22nd, 2021. I talked to her dad about it, and he didn't even respond. He after she passed away, he responded and apologized. So, anyways, yeah, that was October 2020, 22nd, 2022, no, 2021, and then in June 12th, 2022 is when I found out that Amy passed away.
So in that period, had you heard anything about her? I guess so. You didn't talk to her at all, right? Since that allegation, did you hear anything about her in the community, or?
No, I haven't heard about anything about her since then. Everything else that I could say about her and about her death is all coming from her dad. So I have no other sources. Frank Milburn, can say whatever he wants. He talked to her remotely, and I spoke to her dad about it. And I also visited her, where she passed, where she took her life. I actually went there in person with Jim. In the live stream, you could bring him in as well. So her father wrote that, yes, she killed herself on Friday night. She slipped out in the field around midnight and shot herself. I'm heartbroken. Chronic pain and constant attacks finally got to her. And I asked about the pain clinic. So something that happened with Amy was she was in constant pain. They could never figure out why. And there was, we're not talking about her health. So not her mental health, but her physical health. There was something going on that, like, like when you pull a muscle, sometimes it voluntarily twitches and like you feel pain, and it's just like, and it happens in your legs sometimes when you're dancing or whatever. That kind of shit was happening in her face and in her hands, and it was really strange. Like, how does that happen?
Like the muscles cramp up in her face and stuff like that?
And it's involuntary. It was happening right in front of me. It was involuntary movement, like similar to what happens in sleep paralysis. Really, really strange stuff. According to her dad, her neurologist gave her nortriptyline, which has a serious risk of suicide, a side effect of suicide, and it's also known to cause her to hear voices. And she decided to go off of it cold turkey. That was the day before she passed. And I don't think it was her fault at all. I'm reading what her father said. Damn doctors prescribed and forgot. So her father...
He sent that to you the day after she passed away is when he's telling you this stuff?
let me see the date. This is June 12th at 10 p.m.
Yeah, so June 11th is what her obituary said.
Yeah, okay, so in that case, it was the next day, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
So what do you make of that, though? Do you believe that? I mean, it's one of these things people... I mean, I think Ross Coulthard just said that he doesn't think she killed herself. Frank Milburn, of course, maybe we'll play it, but what do you think of it before we get into some of that stuff? You take that as face value, or also because... Yeah, go for it.
Well, so here's what we know for certain. She was taking nortriptyline. It has a side effect of hearing voices, which she was hearing voices. Like she heard voices telling her that everyone needs to leave the house or you're all going to die. And like the entire family went down to the hospital. This was like a week before she passed away. And they didn't give her anything at the hospital. I personally, when I was dating her, took her to a hospital. I drove her down to Huntsville, and she was like freaking out at like 4 in the morning or something like that. We drove all the way down to Huntsville.
Because of these voices?
No, it wasn't voices at the time. She wasn't taking nortriptyline when we were dating. She was taking others. She was taking tramadol and other stuff. But the twitching in her face and the pain, it was nuts. And I took her down there, and one of the things that she was extremely intelligent, and she knew a lot about medical science. So maybe even too much for her own good. So imagine you're a doctor. You just came out of out of school, and this girl shows up, and she's got twitching all over the place. You'd think she's on meth looking to get high. And on top of that, she's spouting out words that you barely even remember from med school. You'd be scared off your ass that there's a lawsuit coming, and your insurance rates for your medical insurance rates are going to go up because of this girl. So doctors were afraid of her, and I saw that firsthand. I saw her interacting with doctors at the Huntsville hospital that I took her to. So I kind of understand where they were coming from, that they didn't want to give her real pain meds, which is what she probably needed. And her dad also had a similar issue, but it wasn't. It didn't involve tremblings and all that. It was just regular pain meds.
What did he have?
He's still alive. He has just chronic pain. It's
The same kind of face kind of thing
no,
that she did.
no, none of that. Just chronic. It's probably some sort of genetic disorder. I'm not really sure. So they gave her what was it called again? Nortriptyline, and told her to come back in 6 months. She started hearing voices. The voices told her to get out of the house. They all got out of the house, ran to the hospital. No luck, came home. And then a week or two later, she decided to get off the nortriptyline, and she went off at cold turkey. And within 24 hours, she took her gun and left the house. And they found her on the top of the property with a gunshot wound to the head.
I'm going to play Ross, and then I'm going to play a little bit of just Frank Milburn so we could hear some of the other perspective, and I want to get your take on those, but let's see.
Okay, here is Dharma Lion. Hi, Ross. Have you looked into scientist Amy Eskridge's possibly suspicious death and her anti-gravity research and comments on disclosure? With your recent coverage of triangular anti-gravitic craft, who are the scientists working on it? Thanks. Keep up the great work, Jamie.
I actually spoke to Amy Eskridge. I don't think she killed herself. I do think there's a very high likelihood she was murdered. I've got a very good friend who was a very, very good friend of hers who was being sent emails by her in the months prior to her death where she genuinely feared that somebody was trying to hurt her or kill her. And I've got photographs, harrowing photographs of burns that she allegedly suffered from some kind of directed energy weapon that she believes was directed at her from the street through the window of the office that she was working in. And they are harrowing images showing burns on her hands where literally there's a red mark that starts just from her hands, and it's as if her hands across a keyboard were being irradiated with something. I do think that the instance of the Amy Eskridge case is quite extraordinary. There's a whole lot of unexplained stuff. The difficulty is that her body was apparently cremated shortly after her death. Her family, and I have no wish to cause her family any hurt, her family do, I understand, believe that she committed suicide. I don't want to speak for the family or purport to speak for the family because it's always a tragedy when anyone loses a loved one. The terrible thing is there was no full coronial inquiry. I did make inquiries with local police about why there wasn't going to be a full coronial inquiry, and it was because of the finding of suicide. I feel very sad about the Amy Eskridge death. She was a brilliant woman. She was, at times, unstable. She was a big drinker, but I don't think she killed herself. I truly don't think she killed herself. I'm sorry if that upsets the family, but I think she was a wonderful human being. She was making claims that she was making advances in anti-gravitic technology and propulsion systems. And of course, her father is, I'm not sure if he still is, a senior NASA engineer. It's a great tragedy that she was lost.
And I'm going to play a little bit of Frank Milburn. Now, this is 3 months after she died. Yeah, go for it.
So,
Yeah.
Most of what he said I agree with. She was a brilliant scientist. She was unstable at times. She would drink a lot. She would smoke a lot of pot, and that was mostly to cope with the pain and chronic issues that she had. The radiation was very real. I felt it. Felt like a burning sensation. The closest thing I can equate it to is one time when I had an accident here at the lab using X-band microwaves, and I got a little irradiated from that because something wasn't properly grounded. That was a similar sort of feeling. So maybe it was like a maser, like a microwave laser. So yeah, I can. All of those things can be true, and at the same time, she took a gun and killed herself. And she also walked around and told everyone that if you ever find me dead to a gunshot wound, it wasn't me. She said that a lot. But what she's doing in saying that is attracting a gunshot wound to her head because she's constantly thinking about it. And what you think about, you bring about. She also loved drama. But one thing that he said that isn't true, she probably did tell him that she was making advancements in anti-gravity. That's not true because she never worked on that stuff. She ran the Institute for Exotic Science, which would move money around to people that were actually doing work, but she never did any of the actual work. You want to go on to Frank Milberg?
Thank you. Yeah, and let's go into Frank. So this is September, so about 3 or 4 months after this, from 2022, actually in the Tupa space. I think Tupa didn't even know what was happening at the time, but here we go.
I have no idea.
We're talking about that exact photo. Do you remember the guy that came into the space and shared it?
Richard Doty.
Probably was him. Hey, Frank, what happened to Amy? How did she pass away?
Do you really want me to answer that?
Yeah, because I can't figure it out.
She was murdered.
If at any point you want me to pause it too, Mark, go for it.
That checks out.
Yeah, it's kind of a sore point, mate. She was murdered for her work on free energy. She was a brilliant mind. She was an expert on free energy, the extraction from the ether of basically free energy, but also massively aware. Can everybody hear me okay?
You sound good,
You
Frank.
could pause it right there.
Yeah, she was.
You could pause it right there. She was about as an expert in free energy extraction from the ether as Jeremy Reese is. It was all theoretical. She never did any actual work in the field. And I don't think she was murdered. I believe her father. I believe the people that were actually living there with her that saw her in her final moments. The gun that was used was her gun. I saw it. And her father has video footage of her leaving the house with the gun barefoot at around midnight. And then he found her, a few hours later. So unless somebody this is all the facts. So unless somebody actually came and met her on her property, which is like they would have to walk through the woods through all that poison ivy, because the only way to get there without going through the path up to the spot where she went is covered by cameras, but the other parts of the property are just like wooded. The only way to have got there without being seen would have been to walk through a bunch of poison ivy. So unless somebody met her over there and took her gun and then shot her for her, there's no way that it was anyone else. And there's no signs of anyone else being there. And it was on the top of her property. It was like the perfect place to do it. And it was right after she went cold turkey off of nortriptyline. But what...
I'm going to play a little more, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for everything, Mark.
She was murdered. For the 5 weeks leading up to her death, she said to me, I'm being harassed, I'm being this and that, and she had been for a year. And I'd logged all those events, and I logged 4 other scientists that she was involved, and they'd all been harassed as well and subject to directed energy weapon attacks. And in the 5 weeks leading up to her death, she was like, well, if you hear that, I've committed suicide, it wasn't a suicide. And then when I was called by my mate in the CIA, who was the first person who called me, I spoke to her on the Friday night, late Friday night, Saturday morning, early, because I let my cats out really early. I woke up at like 0500, 05600, or 0600. I turned on my phone. and my first message was from a CIA buddy, and he said, it looks like they're saying Amy has committed suicide. He goes, but we, as in we in the agency, were treating it as a homicide.
Dude, that's dark. I apologize. Sorry for your loss. That's incredible.
Well, I'm sorry for her family's loss. I mean, look, I never met Amy, but we were in contact for a year, and we ended up speaking.
What was she researching, real quick, Frank, if you don't mind? What was it? Just
she was researching free energy. I know she'd been in touch with the Trump White House about UAP. Obviously, she didn't tell me anything, sensitive, and I didn't ask her because that's not my position to ask her. But it was obvious to me that she was working on something very, very important, and the level of harassment that she and her, scientific collaborators faced. I'll just say this: look, I could have said, "Oh, this is all bullshit," and then the same CIA contact who called me to tell me that she was dead several months before, I was on a Zoom meeting with him and other people from the agency and high-ranking members of Homeland Security, and Amy was there, so I knew that it wasn't bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Do you know anything about that meeting, by the way, or no?
I don't know anything about it. I wasn't really in contact with her at the time.
Okay.
I mean, you can go off of what he says. I know when I was dating Amy, she constantly said that if anyone finds me with a gunshot wound to the head, it wasn't suicide. Like she said that a lot. She said that even when I was dating her, and so she kind of knew subconsciously that she would eventually commit suicide. That's what I think. And she created a lot of drama in her life when she was alive, and I think she just wanted to create a lot of drama in her death too. And there's people that were working in this field that quit the field because of what happened and how it happened, out of fear. And I'm not afraid of doing this research. I don't think there's any dangers inherent in it other than, whatever danger you put yourself in with, rating, or like, for example, the time that I rated myself with X-band microwaves because it wasn't properly grounded. Those are the kind of real dangers in doing this kind of research. Or we have a powerful laser over here that's a part of the Alzafon experiment. That thing is, 7 watts of coherent light that can blind you just in a simple reflection. So those, I believe, are the real dangers. I think like you said before, the espionage was going after the bluff. And there was a lot of bluff because her job was not to do the actual work. Her job was to recruit people to...
Her job was to bluff, right? Get investors.
Yeah, her job was to bluff, to get investors for the Institute so that real people are actually doing work.
I'm going to play a little more of it, and then I think we're pretty much caught up, and we'll bring up some people. I know some people probably want to ask you questions. I'm just going to play a little more of it, though. I don't know how much more longer we'll see.
Yeah, it sounds legit to me, man. That's awful.
I'll go.
That's awful.
Yeah, absolutely awful. I mean, it devastated me. But it took me back to, Forrestal, McDonald, other people who've been murdered because they were too heavily invested in the UAP topic.
So you think it was more UAP related versus energy based?
No, it was free energy UAP related for sure. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man, that it just seems like a very dangerous thing to be looking into. Almost everyone who's came out and talked about having an engine or a car that could run on water, they go missing or they die.
The saddest thing, mate, was like I said to her, because her family's got an armory like where they live, and I said, look, just pay my airfare. I said, I'll come over. And I'll look after you for 6 weeks, and I'll make sure I'll beef up your security because I am a security professional, and I won't charge you anything. And she's like, no, I'll be okay. And then she's murdered.
That's not your fault. I can hear that in your voice. Like, man, I'm sorry that you knew that person personally, but I just want to say, if you Google like philosophers that have been murdered, there's like 28 philosophers. So it's not just like UAP, like energy. It's like this has been going on for a long time, where like if you have something that is not what everybody else is saying, something bad happens, you know.
So we can change the name of the space to secrets, chill or not.
Yeah, well, my personal and listen, let this be a no doubt here. I used to be a professional military intelligence officer. Okay, so I investigated, all kinds of threats, the British Army. I did counter-terrorism, all the rest of it. Right, so I'm not a slouch. My personal assessment is that it was a sub-state actor, and most likely operatives working for some large U.S. aerospace conglomerate, because Amy had figured out something that they didn't want her to figure out, because they had basically a claim on it, shall we say. That's my assessment.
Okay, and then real quick too, actually, I thought of this while I was going. Did her dad ever corroborate any of the like weird gang stalking or Havana stuff when she was alive? Like, did he ever experience that himself too?
Oh yeah. Mostly
what would he say about it?
Mostly the hacking. What he told me last weekend. What he told me last weekend, or actually within the last week when I talked to him, he told me that he thinks it was Amy going to these bars in Huntsville, talking about how she's got anti-gravity figured out and there's secret sauce, and they can't talk about it, top secret, NDAs, blah blah blah, and that got foreign espionage all excited and chasing after them. I think that theory kind of fits with what Kepler Aerospace saw, and what we know about what China does and possibly Russia. So that kind of makes sense. I don't think they were after her because she actually had anything. I think she were after her because of the bluff.
But even then too, right? It probably, would you say, even if she did commit suicide, it would have contributed to her whole kind of state of mental well-being at that time, right? All this weirdo shit happening to her, even if it is on a bluff.
Yeah, and even if she did commit suicide, is it really her fault?
Exactly, that's my point being. My point being. It's like, even if she did it, she's driven there because of all this weird stuff that is really happening, and you and other people corroborate.
I mean, if you put somebody through all of that, is it really their fault? Everything that was going on, she was definitely being harassed. There was energy weapons being used. I'm actually looking at the pictures of when that event happened. Let me see the actual date. This was in June 4th of 2020, when we were attacked.
Fourth, 2020 now.
June 4th, 2020. Yeah.
What about this angle too, and then we'll bring people up. And too, but if you want to get in on anything, bro, please do. If she was, right, isn't there the hypothetical, like, oh, and actually too, what about what Ross said about this quick cremation? Do you have any thoughts on that? On this, there's this.
That was her parents' decision. That was her parents' decision.
So tell us all about that. Like, what happened and why?
Her dad found her with a gunshot wound to the head on the top of their property, and he did not want to have a full burial and a lengthy grieving process. We tried to set up an online memorial thing. It was going to be on Jeremy Reese's channel, where he would have come, and Kathy would have come and talked about her and done some sort of memorial, but that he ended up bowing out at that. It was just too painful and too raw at the time.
What about the potential argument that, like, if something shady did go down, right, like, her family's probably intimidated too. I think of Tracy Twyman, who was doing a lot of Epstein stuff, and she died right around the time of Isaac Cappy. They were collaborating, and to this day, her husband like copyright strikes everything about her and stuff like that. And I get the sense that he's also still afraid. Do you get any of that sense from her family?
No.
Is there a percentage that you leave that she wasn't murdered if you had to put it, or are you at like 100% she did commit suicide?
Knowing her and her personality and the way she operated, I'm fairly certain that she did it to herself. Yeah, I would say it's north of 90% that she did.
And
it
even
to
then,
herself.
though, too, right? It's like influenced by all the weird stuff she was experiencing,
influenced
added to her personality, and yeah.
Yeah, and everything else that she was going through, but who actually pulled the trigger, and they talk about this in criminal cases, like the person that pulls the trigger is not necessarily the one that's in, because somebody could have a trigger to their head too, and there's the mental state is involved as well, but she definitely was not in a good mental state. She should have been hospitalized at that point if she was going off of nortriptyline cold turkey. So there was definitely malpractice on part of her treating physicians, and that's something that her father, they do blame her physicians for that.
Did she have siblings?
Yeah, she has two siblings. She has an older and younger brother.
Can I ask a question about the physicians? Do you know anything about? Has there ever been any kind of like? Was there ever a suit? Did the family was there a malpractice suit or anything?
No, her dad talked about it, but there never was. No.
Like her family kind of didn't want to dwell in the trauma of it all.
Was it a
and
long?
move past it as fast as possible and just kind of like it happened and it's sad.
Yeah, it definitely could have been one. Like there was grounds for a malpractice suit with what happened to her medically, but they never pursued it. He mentioned it to me.
Do you know if it was like a long-term physician or if it was like a new doctor or old doctor, anything like that?
I have no idea.
Cool.
I know also, just to give context, at that time there was a war on drugs going on, and it was very difficult to get pain medication for people who suffer from chronic pain, because they were trying to get to stop the pandemic of
Oxycontin
prescription
and
painkillers. Yeah, prescription painkillers. So
was that why she was on tramadol? It's like a non-narcotic.
Tramadol was the better one. Nortriptyline was the bad one. Nortriptyline was the really bad one.
No, I was referring to the pain.
Yeah,
as far as tramadol, because it's a non-narcotic. It's like one of the strongest. You know what I mean? Like, so they're out there trying to curb, that kind of stuff.
Okay, here's somebody who actually knows what tramadol is. I mean, for her, real like Oxycontin, like real painkillers were the only thing that really worked. That just took the edge off, and she was drinking alcohol, and that wasn't because she was a drunk. She was drinking it because to deal with the pain.
And then I want to play this real quick. I see Jeremy's down there. Jeremy, come on up if you want, real quick, before we open it up to everyone. But is this him on Concrete a few months ago?
Just done a lot of other work, like Amy Eskridge's father there, Richard Eskridge, and then also that's the scientist that we knew that killed herself. You know about that? The NASA scientist girl that killed herself?
No.
Amy Eskridge?
I don't know about her.
You never heard about her, man?
No.
Well, she had to try to infiltrate our group. I felt that she was well, first we thought she was a high level source because her father is Richard Eskridge. He's got all these plasma gravity, plasma propulsion patents and stuff for NASA. Does a lot of classified work and stuff for NASA, and she was telling us, "Oh, I know how anti-gravity works. I know how all this stuff works, and I can't wait to tell you guys all the secret, and I'm going to help reveal it." She was telling us she was going to be the one to bring disclosure, and I thought that she was I thought she was working for the intel agencies. I'm like, this girl's infiltrated our group. She basically she got into our group. And then she started dating my main lab guy, Mark. She started dating him, and I was just like, oh my god, they just got into my group and infiltrated me, like holy crap. And I thought she was a spy the whole time, and I just couldn't stand her. But now she killed herself and in a couple of years ago, and there's a lot of people online that think there's a bigger conspiracy involved in it, and then also think that
who did she work for?
But she worked for her father, and
I don't know. She worked for a couple different companies and stuff, and she worked for this Institute for Exotic Sciences with another friend of hers, and they were supposedly gonna be developing these.
She co-founded the Institute for Exotic Science.
Yeah, it's this group in Huntsville, and
So yeah, Jeremy, come up if you want to. And I guess actually, last thing before we bring everyone up, what do you think now after everything? It's taken on a life of its own, right? Her whole identity, what she said, what she does. How do you feel being somebody who actually dated her, knew her? What's that whole dynamic like for you, and what do you think of everything going on these days? Ross Coulter just on News Nation said that like a week ago. You know what I mean?
What did Ross say a week ago?
Just that he didn't think she killed herself. Like I feel like she's huge now, right? Like after her death, right? Like she's everywhere. It almost seems like in the UFO field. What do you think about this dynamic and being someone who knew her, dated her?
I think that I understand why they would think that. It kind of makes sense that they would come to that conclusion, especially the things that she said. She kind of was saying stuff like that the entire time I dated her, that if you ever hear that I killed myself, I didn't kill myself. And this is what I want written on my gravestone. It was like, it was a constant joke, like an ongoing story. So somebody that actually knew her personally, I think I have a different perspective. But somebody who only knows her from what she said and what she's emailed would definitely think that that there's a deeper conspiracy here.
I'm just going to throw this out too, and we do have Jeremy up here. Nice. I just want to throw this out. I'm not saying this happened or not, but China did a lot of like weird conniving to make the three-body problem a thing, right? Like first off, like they're not really big on superstitious shit out there, and they did this whole like coup within the Hugo Awards to like make it where China had all this influence, and that was able to propel that book. I've heard rumors that it's part of Chinese disclosure. Obama recommends it, and in that book, there's a theme of like scientists committing suicide that reminds me almost of what happened with Marconi and Bay in like the 80s or some shit, where a bunch of like 20 of them committed suicide. Do you have any thoughts about that? I don't know. I think you can see where I'm going with that. Do you think that's at play at all?
They didn't just commit suicide. They all got like emails and traveled to the same exact town where they got in car accidents or died mysterious deaths, or like were found dead, drowned, and other weird deaths. So there's a whole bunch. That whole Marconi scientist death conspiracy thing is a whole nother animal. You got to take things by case basis and really just look at the evidence and the cases. And in every case, there's always the UFO grifter journalists looking opportunistic, people trying to get in on the stories and take control of narratives for different reasons. People. I don't know.
Well, you're here, Jeremy. Let's just do you now chronologically. When did you first meet Amy? What was your chronological timeline of it? And what was your view of when she passed and now the life of its own it's all taken? Chronologically, take us back to 2020 or 2019 when you met her.
I might have been during the pandemic, I think. And we met her at the Estes Park conference. We had sat in on the Estes Park conference and did a whole stream on that. And we were going to present our stuff at Estes Park and kind of introduce ourselves to that whole scene. And she interrupted us, or like, I forget what she did, but she somehow sabotaged our ability to go on and present at that conference. And so we kind of felt slighted by that, and we had decided we were going to just start hosting our own conferences and inviting people and interviewing them. And that's when I was like, oh well, we got to get a good host for all this. And that's why I reached out to Tim Ventura, because he's like the OG with American Anti-Gravity, who got me into all this stuff back in the day. And he was kind of burnt out on everything, which that's how I'm feeling right now. I just tuned in because I saw this and someone tagged me in it. I just happened to check it. But I've been just taking a break, focusing on my family and my kids. My uncle just passed away, and I was very close with him.
Sorry about that, bro.
Well, it's just it's been a rough couple. It's been a
Yeah, I
rough
want to
week.
thank you too for not being one of these fucking cucked people in this community who called out that shit that Lou and his fucking people were doing this week. It's not that hard, people, to be like, yo, that language is fucking not acceptable here. So I appreciate you for doing that, bro.
Sorry about your uncle, Jeremy.
Yeah, man, it sucks. Cancer is terrible, and I just it sucks, man. When someone says they have cancer, just if they're in your family, just make sure you take time, no matter what you do, from what you're doing, to spend time with them, because it's fast. It's fast, and life gets busy. So you'll regret that time later. So, but anyways, with Amy, it was like I just felt like she got so disruptive in the APEC group. She had joined all our WhatsApp groups, and we were having all these great discussions on anti-gravity and ideas to try, and we're going to try this, and we're going to try that, and we're going to try this, and we're going to try that. And she just came in and said, "Oh, none of that stuff will work. You guys are all wrong, and you guys are all idiots." And it's so simple, and I don't know why you can't figure it out. And I wish I could tell you, but it's all classified. And
Tell them about the time traveling disclosure princess.
yeah, that's what my nickname was for her, was the time traveling disclosure princess, because she is like the daughter of the king of anti-gravity. Her father, Richard Eskridge, was some supposedly some big shot who knew all the inside secrets on NASA's anti-gravity research, and had all this information and stuff, and she couldn't share any of it with us, but we were all wrong and always on the wrong track, no matter what we were going to try or do. And but it was just kind of like it kind of got annoying after a while, because she never actually gave anything actionable intelligence wise for that we could actually test, anything falsifiable or testable, for us to try. It was always just this I have all these stories. I'm getting attacked with directed energy weapons, and I'm getting burned, and I'm getting then about her. She found the nicotine packets in Walmart, and thought that it was from herself and the time traveling back from the future to open those and send her a message. It was just weird stuff, and all the stories that she'd tell. So I just was just like, after a while, it just got like people got fed up with her, and we were like, we need to like leave and create a new group that's Amy free. And nobody was harassing her. We didn't like go after her. We were just kind of like, if anything, it was like
Well, Mark did earlier here though too say, what do you think about this dynamic? That he did say he did get like havannad while she was around, and we kind of came to the conclusion, or Mark did kind of too, that it was off this bluff she was telling, but that she was actually getting fucked with to some degree by someone. What do you think about that? That he did himself. That he said the popcorn popped after it was.
Jeremy, what about that knot? What about that knot that you found in the window shades?
Right. I mean, it was just a crazy knot with lots of things tied into it, and I blame the cat. He must have done it. I don't know. It was just something weird, but I wish I knew a knot language, because it would have been interesting to decipher that one if there was a message there. But yeah, knots are.
I guess talking to Amy and like hearing all these conspiracies kind of gets you into that mindset where you look at a knot and you freak out about it, because you were freaking out about it.
Well, I was also trying to test you. I was also like testing you to see how deeply you believe in some of the stuff too, because it's like I never got zapped with the directed energy weapons. I've felt like maybe sometimes it could be like signals messing with my brain, and I feel like that sometimes, but I don't have direct proof or any kind of like evidence for that. So it's kind of like hard to say.
Did you ever meet her IRL, Jeremy, or your interactions are all over the internet?
What's that?
Did you ever meet her in real life, or did you ever meet her in real life, or your interactions all over the internet mostly?
I don't think I was ever down there at the same time as her. Was I, Mark? I don't know. I don't think you remember. I don't remember ever meeting her in person. I only remember Zoom conferences or Skype, whatever, online calls and stuff. And a lot of the APEC chats back when I used to do the WhatsApp, it just got too much.
But you did enjoy some of it, I'd imagine. Like on that stream, the infamous stream now, you guys do seem like you're having a grand old time, right? It wasn't all like bad. There was good times, or for you, for your experience with her, was it all pretty much kind of like weirdness?
Well, I mean, it was fun. We were hanging out, we were drinking and smoking, and my audio just I was recording my audio output on my thing, and with the software that I use, I just wanted to screen capture and keep a record of it, just because
You thought she might have been a spy.
I just didn't know, and I just was like a little bit curious, and I'm glad I did, because then she killed herself, and it was all these rumors around about her, mental state, and I was like, well, this was her mental state within a couple weeks of when she did that, so it was a nice window into her whole world and who she was.
That was actually a couple of years before, like 2 years before.
It was 2 years before. No way.
That video
was like a couple months before, if anything. No.
No, that was in the summer of 2020, and she killed herself in summer of 2022. 2 years before.
Really? Oh, wow. Huh?
Yeah, and it got worse after that too, according to her dad, because I didn't know her then.
Right. When did you stop talking to her and cut ties with her?
Around the time that that Jeremiah came over and APEC started. That was like September of 2020.
Yeah, and we started getting all these key interviews, and it started taking off. And you know what? I really feel like, if anything, she felt like she was supposed to lead this group and be part of this big disclosure movement somehow, and that she felt slighted by when we started APEC, because everyone in APEC was pretty much like, if you don't have anything to present or actually contribute, then get lost. And she was just like, crap, I can't, I don't know, because when we first met her, she had like everyone in the Estes Park conference like wrapped around her finger, man. She was like the princess of the whole, I don't know, everyone was just like, it was a bunch of these old men that were just loved her. And I don't know, it's kind of weird scene. And then what do you think of Frank, the Frank Milburn character too? Because he's I guarantee you that's who got in Ross's ear and convinced him that it was more not just a suicide. Because I don't know, I tend to agree with Mark. I think I'm probably 90% that it was a suicide, but I'm always open if someone were to come along and be like, dude, she had this. But as far as I know, all these rumors that I read, it's she was not a brilliant, a super brilliant scientist, as far as I could tell. There's lots of women scientists that are brilliant out there.
Well, I'll tell you guys this, and this has kind of caught me in trouble lately, if you haven't seen. But and I said this, and I've never said Lou killed her, for the record. They're trying to spin it like I said that. I was told on the phone by somebody who's a quote-unquote UFO whistleblower, named at the last hearing, not spoke, that his group suspects Lou's group might have been involved or was involved. Never that. So make of that what you will. I'm happy to tell you who told me that, Mark and Jeremy in the back channel, but it's I don't even know what to do with that info. But there's that. And I also did, by the way, I brought up Alien Protocols Buddy, because I think he knew her online at the time too. And Buddy, I want to do another one with you and Deep that's kind of like this. But yeah, if anyone wants to jump in on that. And then eventually, actually, I'm kind of down to do a little bit here, Buddy, of your just timeline with her once we kind of move on past it. And then we'll bring up everyone else. Sorry, guys. Now we're gonna do a little bit of if they actually knew her, we're gonna try and flesh that out, and then we'll bring up everyone if they have questions or want to say something. All right, Buddy. Well, I guess yeah, go for it, Buddy. How did you know her? What was your time like with her? I like chronological stuff. You know what I mean? If you could.
I guess I knew her about 6 or 7, maybe more than 7 years before her passing.
How did you meet her?
I met her through another scientist who runs an aerospace company, and introduced me to her. And she was.
So this is before 2017, right? Then before that all kind of kicked off.
Yes. And she was involved in the Exotic Institute, and was involved, I don't think it's a secret anymore, in, I could say, at least one black project, let's say. She, in my opinion, was a genius scientist. She was certainly unafraid to explore the most kind of dangerous topics, like, my Falcon friends and Jeremy and those guys. Propulsion, power systems, exotic fringe science, emerging new understandings of science, and that immediately stands you out for, being kind of targeted. And if she just committed suicide, it's not just as simple as, oh, she did it. There's a lot of other influences and things that are imposed on people of position, of influence, of special knowledge, or promoting different things. You and Tupa have gotten a lot of hostility from a lot of different people who don't like the great work that you're doing. In a way, if you don't have some haters, you're doing something wrong,
Exactly.
And I met her in person. I spent,
Well, tell us about it. Like you and her interactions. Tell us about it. What was she like? Make us feel like we were there.
I loved her. She had a childlike enthusiasm with the esoteric and was deeply exploring different aspects, which is our big kind of touchstone together. She knew that I had been kind of semi-validated with different, other scientists in terms of this stuff, and she was interested in
For everyone who maybe doesn't know, you're like into remote viewing. You've done some stuff with like various police departments, right? Like that kind of stuff. She was interested in you about, kind of.
Yeah, and psychokinesis and the fundamental nature of reality, and if that could be, amplified or increased, or other ways of accessing it. I remember having cool conversations with her about the Dollard antenna, I think it was called, and I know that she changed over time. And I know from my beginning of relationship with her to the end, it started off where she was completely just kind of like an inspiring intellectual without too many mental, health issues or stresses. And then as time passed, there's a couple incidents that I remember very specifically. One where her and another person who was a scientist felt that they got drugged at a location. And then it started progressing worse after that. We had some really fun and cool creative brainstorming, like coming up with ideas and experiments that would, for the first time, measure certain aspects of consciousness's interaction with reality. I think I mentioned it maybe before in a space with you, Red Panda, but I could explain a super simple experiment that for the first time would garner at least one of these parameters and get some data type stuff. She's very interested in that. I know near the end she was getting more all sorts of stuff. The fear of directed energy weapons I hadn't experienced. And also she was very interested in orbs and exotic vacuum objects and the many different possibilities, what they could be.
What was her worldview of the whole phenomenon? Did she, and to Mark too, and Jeremy, if you guys know, did she have like a, after all the years and when she died, what was her final thought on what's going on with the UFOs?
My understanding, and I don't want to speak for her, but from my contact with her, is that consciousness and subconsciousness has a connection to the whole universe, the data matrix, the fundamental structure underneath. Everything is connected, and somehow the subconscious could do that. And that's why esoteric practices work, and that's why it's related to contact, and that's why, a lot of, non-terrestrial being interactions seem to have a lot of those kind of understanding your thoughts, before even spoken and things like that. So I think that was the underlying mechanic, but that we both shared a belief in. But we're looking for the specifics of the mechanics. Like, when Ingo affected the quantum generator or the calorimeters, what is the mechanism? It can't just be woo. Just entanglement, I think, has been pondered, or the Abramoff-Bohm effect, all these different things. But there were some parameters learned from that, like the shielding didn't affect Ingo's ability to affect the detector, or going deep underwater didn't affect the accuracy of remote viewing. So there's some parameters, and she wanted to help define and narrow in those parameters through experimentation. That I loved about her.
Cool, and yeah, I think, buddy, we'll do more in depth with Deep when Deep comes on. I think you and Deep would be a good dual panel there. Does anyone want to say anything on the panel before we bring it up to people who may want to ask some questions to someone on the panel?
I kind of want to get going. It's my last night to my only night that I have free to kind of do stuff. So I was gonna go.
All right, bro. Yeah, and I was actually thinking maybe even if you wanted, we could do one too, because everyone's very curious, right, about this whole timeline and hearing from the people who knew it.
Yeah, I want to go back through everything and put the dates all together now too, because it's kind of like got me more interested in digging into this a little bit. If I don't know why Ross and Frank Milburn are so convinced that she was murdered, and I'd like to see the evidence of if there's a plot for that. But as far as Lou and that crew, I've been way more vocal than Amy, like I've been 10 times more vocal than Amy about like my detest for this obvious counterintelligence op on the American public from a counterintelligence group. And
It's the CIFA op just continued, bro.
and expanded to other topics. And but you think about that, right? They didn't mess with me. And who's been like 10 times more vocal than I have with bigger audience, reach way more people, is Dark Journalist. So like they didn't go and, target him with directed energy weapons and make him, suicide himself. I don't know. I just don't understand like
What Mark said though that I think does kind of fit with everything is that she was in Huntsville. She was talking a big game, almost like a bluff, right? And so that alone could get you, China just, why not? They got people everywhere. Why not just throw a few people on that for a bit, just see what's up there kind of thing. The bluff and the location, I think. And her dad, right?
I mean, what Buddy was talking about with all those thought experiments, Amy was brilliant at that kind of stuff. Totally agree with that. But when it came to actual hardware and working on things like anti-gravity, which require hardware, there's no thought experiment behind that can get you there. She wasn't doing much. It was mostly her dad, and her dad wasn't doing much either.
What did she think the UFOs were, Mark, from your conversations with her?
I think she believed they were extraterrestrials, and some of them were, secret space program as well.
She was all in on the secret. So she thought we were like already going to Mars and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think so too.
What do you think, Jeremy, on that too, and Buddy too? Oh, well, maybe they can't answer right now. Tupa, what do you think? You think is the secret space program narrative? Are you riding with that one, Tupa?
Yeah, that's the one that makes the most sense. There's no way we stop making progress in that realm. There's just no way. So what happened to it? And also we have this huge deficit of a budget. We know money's being spent, or at least it's being allocated somewhere, and we don't have it. I mean, didn't they find like hundreds of billions of dollars was missing? And then all of a sudden, that was like on the 10th that Rumsfeld announced that. September 10th, 2001. And then the next day, that attack happens. I mean, it's crazy. I think that a lot of the crazy stuff that we see in the world seems to be to cover up something like that. And with that, if that's the case, if we find that out, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are not surprised. Like 90% of people alive right now, I think would go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." So it's like an open secret almost.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mark, Buddy, go for it. Yeah. Before we bring everyone else up.
I think another reason to target her is not just her vocal and her work in the exotic sciences, but she also worked in a black project. I know that. So
what do you know about that? Then tell us about that, and we'll see what Mark thinks about that. And yeah,
I don't think I can get too much into it. Maybe Deep could get me. Maybe Deep and I could get the authority from another person involved to talk about that or not. But
okay, cool. Yeah, and I did want to do one with Deep in You, and I think that would be epic. What about the Trump thing? Do you know anything about that, Buddy? That she briefed Trump or was on a Zoom call with someone from the Trump administration at some point?
I don't know about that. I think she was included in that briefing thing that went around a couple of years ago that I was mentioned in too. But that's it is what it is, whatever it is.
Do you remember what year time? Can you say the year time frame that this black project that you're aware of was?
I would say about 5 or 6 years before she passed.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
as much as from 7 to 5 years, at least in that period.
She never told me
I can
about any
say-
black project that she was involved in. So,
Yeah, I would think she wouldn't blab about it too much.
okay.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll do one with Deep, buddy, and maybe you could, and you like Jeremy could kind of just review the timeline too and stuff. I think Mark kind of is already prepared to kind of go through the whole timeline and stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna start bringing people up. Then is that cool? Cool. Please keep it respectful. Keep it chilling. I'm chilling. I had a second beer actually. I never drink. I don't even know the last time I drank. So yeah, and I'm smoking. All right, Gabe has their hand up first. We'll go Gabe, and then if you guys want to throw up your hands, and we'll pass it around.
Hey, thanks, man. Brett, as you know, I'm super excited for this space. Thank you for having the space, Mr. Sokol. Jeremy, both of you, I have a great amount of respect for what y'all have been doing. My question in regards to Amy is, it seemed like things I've been researching, kind of maybe trying to figure out what happened to her for a while. And I guess my question is, if something was done to her for, like, meaning she didn't commit suicide, right? Like if it was made to look like a suicide, if you've put thought into that, either one of you, do you have a theory on whether this would be maybe a private industry group doing this, or some type of, doesn't even necessarily have to be our government, but just any government type of operation?
I can't think of why anyone would want to kill Amy Eskridge. Especially not at that time. I mean, I could understand why they would do espionage on her. But it's kind of like the harder you try to hide something, the more I'm going to look because you say you have something. But, it's kind of like dogs. If you run away from them, they'll chase you. But if you put up a fight, then they'll stand back. So it's kind of like there's the chase going on, and Amy's claiming, "Oh, I got something. It's secret. I'm cutting out the Wi-Fi card of my laptop so you can't hack me." So what's the spy agency going to do? They'll continue the espionage, and they'll take it to the umpteenth level.
Right.
That's what made sense to me. I have no idea why anyone would want to kill her.
So
she was a lot of fun. She was a lot of fun to be with. It was
oh,
a
it
crazy
definitely seems that
relationship.
way.
Yeah, she was extremely intelligent. I think Buddy can, her IQ must have been way up there.
How about you, though?
I'm not as smart as her.
Hey, Gabe, any other questions?
Yeah, no, that was the main one. I know that there's been so much noise around it, and I had always just wondered what your thoughts might be, if you've ever gone down that thought experiment, I guess. Like, because my thing is, if something was done, I always, where I get wrapped up is who, would it have been some kind of private industry because they thought she had something, or would it have been some kind of government industry?
Have you
or
been listening,
government
by the way,
group?
Gabe? Did you hear the full space?
No, I just
Oh,
saw it and hopped
yeah,
in.
you're gonna have to go back because basically, and for
Okay.
everyone wondering, it sounds like she was very good at bluffing and talking and like a big game, right? Which could potentially lead, because Mark here did say he did get havannad when she was around, so there was some other secondhand corroboration that there was weirdness around, but she wasn't really doing any like hands-on. It's not like she had a Millennium Falcon in the garage or some shit, or what's the one from Back to the
Right.
Future? Yeah, it's not like she had that, but it was the talk of it that probably got her on the eye of someone somewhere.
I actually have the floating DeLorean over my desk. It's a little toy.
Now that I
Nice, there we
wouldn't be
go.
surprised if you actually did have a UFO over there at Falcon Space. But
Well,
I'm
we have
just-
things that
but
look
yeah,
like
that's
them. Yeah.
I bet. But yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, thank you. Yes, I will.
Oh, that
go
actually made me
back
think
to
of something
the
too, because
recording.
Deep said there was an FBI investigation into that or something. Do you know anything about that?
Oh yeah, we got
Mark?
raided by the FBI. We had the FBI showed up looking for enriched uranium.
Oh yeah, no, I do remember that story, and I think we've talked about that. But related to Amy, did the FBI ever look into anything with her, or no? It was just case closed before the end of the weekend.
I don't think there was an FBI investigation. I don't know. I mean, I spoke to her dad, and he didn't mention anything about that.
That one that I guess quick sidebar, when you guys did get raided, and I talked to Jeremy about it, and if you want to talk about it, I'm actually super. I don't know how much time do you have?
I'm good. You can
Oh, we're
going.
chilling. Yeah, then why not talk about it? Because that group is actually very interesting. That's I think the same group that was announced earlier this year. This FBI working group that apparently is somehow connected to Jan 6th, and I suspect it's the same group that raided your guys' little lab there because they told you they were part of a UFO FBI group, right? Why don't you tell everyone the story of that?
They showed up in middle of the day while I was in the middle of working on the lathe. I actually had leathers on, which is like you have a leather apron in order to protect yourself from the metal shrouds. They open up the door. There's two people there. I shut the lathe down and walk over, pull up my protective glasses, and they flash a FBI badge and say, "Hey, we're from the FBI." And I'm like, "How can I help you?" And they said, "Do you have enriched uranium?" I'm like, "What? No, we don't have any enriched uranium." And they kind of laughed and giggled, and they said, "Yeah, we already kind of knew that. We walked around the building with a Geiger counter, and if there was any enriched uranium in here, it would be, you know, it would light up this entire building." And
What month was that? Do you remember?
I think it was in 2024, 2023, something like that. There's the story made it to
Yeah, Daily Mail I saw because you guys have the security camera of them walking around and stuff, right?
yeah, we have a security camera of them. Yeah, I'm not like trying to drum up any drama and you know, try to make this into a whole thing that the FBI is after us and blah blah blah. But it did happen. It was kind of interesting. And in hindsight, I think what happened was somebody that worked for us and went a little crazy, left and started blabbering onto a senator's office about how he figured out anti-gravity and that Mark's doing dangerous work and he has uranium. Well, what he was talking about is I got a piece of uranium off of Amazon to calibrate Geiger counters. And this dude was from New Mexico, and he just knows uranium bad, and he freaked out about that and just wanted to stay relevant. So he was talking to some senator's office, and apparently that made it to an FBI checklist that they had to go check out Falcon Space for enriched uranium. So it wasn't really like any major story, in my opinion.
Cool. All right, I think next was I think Ryan Bean, then JK Philly.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I was just wondering, you guys might have gone over this, maybe a question for Mark, but did she ever mention anything of a dead man's switch with any of the information that she's learned?
Oh yeah, the dead man switch, and she talked about shit like that all the time.
And what were the contents of that conversation, if you don't mind?
That she has everything figured out, and there's a dead man switch, and we're all gonna know. And if she kills her, and if she's found dead, then she didn't kill herself. And of course, when she passed away, there was no dead man switch, and there was no secret archive that just appeared on the internet, as far as I know.
Did she leave a letter or anything like that?
I don't think so.
I feel like you would have known if it did happen.
Yeah, I mean, her dad might have mentioned it if she did do it, but he didn't mention it to me.
Ryan, anything else?
If there was 2 or 3 names that could have been assigned to that dead man switch, what would be just ringing off the top of your head?
I have no idea.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. JK Philly fan, go for it.
Maybe it would be Frank Milburn, because that's the one she was talking to. It was like her internet boyfriend at the time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey. Thanks for bringing me up. The now the infamous video with Jeremy and yourself with Amy. She says in the video, "Hey, chemical reactions. That's a big deal." And then she says, "Imagine breaking covalent bonds at room temperature and low pressure." Can you go into that, some of that, and what she meant by that?
Oh yeah, she was thinking that the Alzaphan experiment, or dynamic nuclear polarization, spin couple force, could break covalent bonds at room temperature and low pressure. Like she was thinking other applications for it, and she was like I said, she's a very smart woman, and she had a lot of great ideas. So yeah, that was an idea she threw out. We never got around to testing anything like that yet, but yeah, it's a great idea.
Oh yeah. Then right after that, you mentioned something with the John Hutchinson effect. So I wonder, are you trying to make a connection with that as well?
Oh yeah, because the John Hutchinson effect basically can meld wood and metal together without any heat. So that's kind of doing that. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's all. Appreciate it.
It's one thing to talk about it. It's a whole different thing to actually do it.
Yeah, were you able to duplicate the Hutchinson effect?
Yeah, is this the thing with Jesse Michels, or what happened with y'all and Jesse Michels?
Jesse Michels owes me $50,000.
How was that story?
So Jesse Michels had his TT Brown episode where he offered $50,000 for anyone who could replicate it in a hard vacuum. And I reached out to him and started showing him how I was building the vacuum chamber, and I got everything built. And he was going to come over, and then we were having a meetup last year in November for APEC's fourth anniversary. And I
Here,
got
real quick. I sent it to Logan where he says the thing, so we can all hear it. Logan, could you play it real quick, and then we'll go back to that time in the story? I sent it to you in the back channel, Logan.
Okay, give me a second.
Oh shit! Killed the flow. Oh, here we go. Boom. I'm sorry, everyone.
It's completely unprofessional.
I'd like to offer a $50,000 bounty to anyone who can prove the Byfield-Brown effect under two conditions. Number one is the person has to conduct the experiment in a vacuum chamber to prove that the thrust effect isn't due to ion wind. And number two, you have to let us film it. So reach out to usa.alchemy@gmail.com if you're interested, and please, if possible, lead with any experience you have doing experiments like these. But as I've said, I have no dog in this fight. So I will also pay the $50,000 to anyone who definitively disproves the Byfield-Brown effect, as long as I feel like they are a good faith actor. That would kind of blow, but hey, it would get us closer to reality.
Lies.
I'd like to offer a...
It's all you, Mark.
Yeah, so what happened with that is we got the entire setup done. It was very expensive, and it was a lot of work, a lot of tinkering to get.
How much money?
Well north of $10,000 for sure. That's just in materials plus time, and it took us several months to put that thing together. We got it up and running, got down to like -6, -7 torr, which is very difficult. We built a thrusting device that would turn around. We accounted for all other known effects. So there's ion wind, which requires some atmosphere. There's Coulomb attraction, which can't make anything turn. Coulomb attraction would only like be a sticking point. It's kind of like it would just attract to one spot in the dome and wouldn't move past it. And also like possible magnetic forces. We accounted for everything. And what we found was under a high vacuum, the Campbell thruster would turn in one direction. This asymmetric capacitor thingy. And when the vacuum dropped below like -4, it started spinning in the opposite direction. So what that tells us is that one of them, the low vacuum is ion wind, because that was the same direction it would move in air too. The high vacuum, however, that's the T.T. Brown effect, and you can know that conclusively because there's no other way to explain why it's turning in two different directions. To build this device, it was like a really fine balance of magnets and a pin, like a needle going onto a magnet, and it was like perfectly balanced. It was a real hassle to put the thing together, and Jesse never showed up and never sent the money. I met him.
Was he corresponding with you guys and like he was going to, or he just didn't even reply to anything?
No, he was corresponding, and he told me that there's other variables, and he never really told me what those other variables are. And we had experts in the field flying in from Portugal, South Africa, all over the country here in the U.S., Canada. We had people coming in from all over to like convene and run their different experiments through this this chamber, and every single one of those experiments that we ran worked. The only issues we had was how much friction the apparatuses would have. So every single attempt we made at a T.T. Brown's type thruster worked in that chamber. And I met him again at the UAP hackathon, and he said that if I get PhD scientists to sign off on it, he'd come down. And he already promised to come down the year before, so I'm like, I'm not going to put any more effort into it. It's kind of like I already did what you asked for. If you want to come down again, I'll set it up again and turn it on for you. You can film it.
What could be used with that technology, do you think? Like, why was he even putting out that kind of huge bounty for it, do you think?
I mean, it could be used for space travel. It's similar to ion thrusters in space, except that you can do it without thruster. It produces a very small amount of thrust. We're not talking, VTOL or vertical takeoff and landing. And honestly, there's a company down in Florida, Exodus Technology, with Drew Agamera and who's that NASA guy? And they're working on asymmetric capacitors, and they have capacitors that are over unity that can produce more thrust than the capacitor itself weighs. So yeah, they don't even want his $50,000 because they don't want him filming it because they got all their secret sauce in it. Yeah, but that is a real phenomena that could potentially move objects through space with just electricity.
You gonna go to the next UAP hackathon?
Maybe, but he needs to bring heaters because it was really cold.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah, I missed
Either that or
me and
I
Tuber
will.
are gonna try and go to the next one.
Oh yeah, if he holds it in anything but like July, make sure to bring like a really warm puffer coat. It is really cold on that ship.
Logan, do you have any questions or anything you want to say?
Me? I was surprised that she died by like a firearm, because I thought like most women, like when they commit that kind of act, like it's usually just done with like poison or like something like non-violent. But then I was just looking it up like more recently, and apparently like a third of all women that do that, like that do commit suicide, actually it is by gunshot wound. So yeah, I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah, it was her pistol too. It was her handgun. We got Snuggles, JK Philly fan. Anyone else? Any more questions?
Any more questions? If not, we might throw it down, and I'll probably do an after space. Mark, come to more spaces, bro. We like to hang out. I like your vibe from a distance. Nice to actually talk to you. It's kind of a bummer topic, but maybe in a way therapeutic. I don't know.
100%. It's also cool hearing, you're out there in the trenches actually trying to make some of this breakthrough science a reality. So it's cool hearing from you, man.
What do you think the drones were, by the way, Jersey Gravity Boy?
I have no idea what the drones were. I didn't get to see them. I went out a couple times trying to see them. I took a whole bunch of pieces of equipment from the lab and was wanted to see them, but I didn't get to see them. But I have siblings that saw them, friends that saw them, and yeah, me and my spectrum analyzers, and I even got a bow and arrow. I want to shoot one down, but yeah, I didn't get to.
Yes, I will. Are you able to duplicate?
Kind of just to throw.
What's up, Chase?
A little bit of troublemaker, but if no one else has anything, I guess Logan, if you could play the song I damned you, we'll close out some more Swifty. Anything else you want to say, Mark, or anyone else? There's your chance. If anyone's on the panel wants to ask someone who dated Amy a question about her, come on up. But if not, we'll close it out. Go for it, buddy.
Just to throw out kind of a semi-obvious observation is there are groups that would be interested in destabilizing people who are investigating deeply the mechanics of novel technologies. We've seen that throughout science history. A lot of different people and groups who are working on novel sciences and stuff were kind of, fucked with on many different levels and ways. And if you're working on a technology that's in the black currently, or another group has, think they have a monopoly on, they might try to, destabilize you, take you off the path, try all sorts of different, ways to do
that.
And I know you.
Very good point, buddy.
And it doesn't have to be international organizations. It can certainly be a logical modus operandi for intelligence agencies working on exotic projects, the Department of Energy, DIA, NGA, a bunch of different organizations. And she was really on the forefront of a lot of this stuff and unafraid. And I know a couple of scientists that were associated with her in this work and some of the other work she was doing that were completely freaked out by a series of events kind of culminating with her passing. And, I think there's a concerted effort to destabilize certain people who are working on very sensitive areas that might mirror what the government has already accomplished or other groups have. So I just wanted to share.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's definitely a concerted effort to get people who are in this space confused, looking at red herrings, scared for their lives. But ultimately, I do believe that ever since December 16th, 2017, there hasn't been any physical, other than the Havana syndrome stuff, there hasn't been any physical attempts to kill people, that are working in these spaces. It's been more, from a distance, hacking and Havana syndrome kind of stuff. With me, they sent me a bunch of weird ass emails, including threatening to take my kids into a time machine. That was a really weird email. Yeah, there was some really weird shit that went on, and my response to that was just to post it online. I'm like, this is and play with them too, and
Genius.
Way to
Hey,
do it,
Jared.
troll him.
What's up, Jared? Jared's my buddy.
Oh hell yeah. Well, Jared, go
Mark.
first, and then we'll go back around the hands. What's up, Jared?
Hey, two things. First off, Mark, thank you so much for clearing up the space about Amy, because yeah, you see it online just all the time, and it's just so much suppositions on top of suppositions. And so like you getting a chance to actually like say your piece on it when people badmouth you online all the time, it's really cool that RPK is giving you this chance. So I don't want to add a whole lot more to the you know, the craziness that went on there, but I feel like it would be useful if you could talk about any of the other stuff besides the Havana syndrome in your lab. Like, I thought you told me at one point about like her whole group got abducted, and then like she thought like she was just like dreaming the whole thing, but then she confirmed with her like coworkers or something about that. Do you think that actually happened? Could you recount that story?
Buddy probably knows that story. Buddy, do you know that story? When they all got abducted, apparently, and they had the 3 dot markings.
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but you know, I didn't get too deep into it. But I know another scientist she was working with, and you probably know that scientist in the company. Felt that way as well too, and this stuff really scared a lot of these, you know, really daring scientists. And you guys have been, one thing I really love about you guys is you have been very open about your work. There's a transparency to your work, and this really edge exotic science stuff, it's really important on multiple levels. So, you know, I commend you for that. I remember you guys back to the Hover brothers and your other partner who, you know, I won't go into any of those details and stuff, but I think you guys handled yourself really well. So I commend you guys on many levels.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think that is the difference. People who try to do this, they tend to get trouble. But when you're open source, there's nothing to hide. All you have to do is share, like, and subscribe, and watch the live streams. Then, you know, why would they go after you? All they have to do is watch your videos.
Save that. That's what me and Tuba say too. We don't have any secret info, bro. Everything we uncovered with all the little hate group bullshit is all public. But back to that abduction and the 3 dot thing. Jared, what do you remember it being described as? And then Mark, maybe back it up.
Jared was just hearing it from me. The story was that they were apparently all abducted from internationally and taken aboard some spacecraft, and then had their memories wiped. And then in the morning, they all came back and were on a Zoom call together, comparing that. And they all noticed that they all had the same triangle, like 3 dots in a triangle form, markings on their side or something like that.
They thought they were abducted by aliens or like a cartel?
More like a cartel, like a secret space program.
Wow.
Space
Anything
cartel.
else you remember?
Damn.
The space cartel, yeah.
Anything else you remember about that? I'm in Target now.
I have no way to corroborate that, but I've seen other people that claim to have been abducted showing a similar. It kind of looks like the MMR shot where there's like 3 needles, like in a triangle form. So
Where was it on their bodies?
I don't know.
Thank you. Jared, anything else you wanted to say? And then we'll get to the other hands.
Yeah, there was just one other thing. So I know that I thought she'd also had like experiences, like weird experiences with other boyfriends that she thought like these guys were bad faith actors kind of thing. And that could have been, you know, the paranoia. It could have been, you know, real. It could have been probably a mix of both. Can you think of any other weird type stuff that she talked about that might have been in that gray area of, well, wait, maybe this actually was like some weird stuff that was happening to her?
Well, she talked about getting roofied a lot. I actually got her a roofing test kit and put it in her bag. She talked about getting radiated. I got her an X-ray detector keychain. I mean, she was hanging out in bars a lot, so that's the kind of place you get roofied. How many of them were like people trying to date rape her, and how many of them were espionage or secret space program agents? I have no idea, but from the way she talked to people and the way she presented herself, I think it's very plausible that would have happened, especially given the way Huntsville is and how many foreign agents there are there.
I bet they just hang out in bars, just waiting for people to do that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean that's where that kind of stuff happens.
Also, the bars around Huntsville probably have higher than your average population of counterespionage people.
Yes,
100%.
that's well known too.
Cool. Oh, thank you, Jared. I followed you back. We'll go next to, I think it was Doomer Daddy.
Hey, Panda Cobra, Tupaquala, Killer Space.
Thank you.
Yeah, for real, man. Mark, thanks for coming up here and letting us ask you some questions, man. I have two lines of questions. One is about Amy's personality, and the other is about your company and the science that you're working on. On the science side, what is currently like the bleeding edge? What is it? What is it that's hard for you specifically to crack right now? And do you think some sort of black contractors, black in the sense of maybe illegal programs, have an edge over the U.S. government? That's my first set of questions, and I'll repeat anything you like.
Okay, so the U.S. government is currently shut down. So I think McDonald's has an edge over the U.S. government. But in all seriousness, the U.S. government does not do science research. That's DARPA. DARPA gives out grants to scientists to actually do the research. A lot of that research is done in.
I should qualify, Mark. I meant undisclosed edge, like without oversight.
It's not government. It's secret space program, or what do you call it? It's the military industrial complex. It's companies like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman that are getting huge amounts of money for these projects, these black projects, and then they could do it in secret. So if that's what you mean by government, I think they've discovered this and engineered this technology since 1954, and they have working craft, and they're visiting other planets in other solar systems and are in touch with other civilizations.
Without government oversight?
Without any government oversight, correct.
And what edge do you think they have over you, like in terms of, superluminal tech or anti-gravitic tech?
I think I think what we're doing over here at Falcon Space is rediscovering the wheel. And although we are doing cutting edge science, doing the science without publicly disclosing what we're doing and showing people that, hey, this is real, this is possible, it wouldn't go anywhere. So the outreach is a very large part of our mission, to make sure that we don't just discover it and get shut up, but it actually goes somewhere. It actually becomes an end product that can't be put back in the, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
And can you comment at all about people who've been more public with their research, like Brandenburg? Do you think that this is a matter of electrodynamics, that this has already been solved by the likes, or close to being solved by the likes of Tesla, Heaviside, Maxwell? Are we just talking about a rearrangement of electrical engineering, or is there some other magic involved?
I don't think Tesla ever got to the level of the things that we're talking about. He didn't have the equipment, but he would have been able to. He was a brilliant mind. Just give you a rundown of the basic UFO related technologies that we talk about at APEC. And you could watch the APEC conference and learn all about this, altpropulsion.com. So there's the one technology, one of my favorites is dynamic nuclear polarization, orienting subatomic particle spins. We're basically using electromagnetic energy to orient the strong force. The strong force is what holds the nucleus together. So the gluons, or the energy that holds the nucleus together, is said to be where matter comes from. So we're orienting the source of matter. And in orienting it, I think we also change the way matter, like mass, interacts with gravity and with inertia. It's a simple way to put it. Another experiment we're doing is trying to use inertia to create angular momentum, like spinning inertia, like a gyroscope, to create linear motion. And we have a working example of that, but it's not a very good thrust to weight ratio, but it does work.
Another thing that we're trying to do with that, with a similar thread, is to use like a heavy liquid, like
Mercury or
yeah, like a mercury vortex engine that's in the Vimanas that are described in the Mahabharata. Rotating mercury is the same thing, like an inertial engine that is
the
converting,
Glocka type stuff, right?
and the Glocka too, yes, and it's converting this angular momentum into a linear motion, and we just have to figure out what the geometries are. Is it some sort of sacred geometry that the mercury needs to go into? These are all engineering questions at this point. It's just we have to engineer it, figure it out, and build it. Another line of inquiry is highly coherent RF waves, and we're talking ham radio at this point, because like the ham radio wavelength can be several meters long. Now imagine if you had an antenna that was putting out RF and it managed to make a coherent wave that was staying put in one spot, and you were able to build on top of it and build more. Like every time you put in, you got a stronger and stronger field in that one spot. You would be able to have a magnetic field and electric field that was floating in space, and you could direct that magnetic and electric field and move objects at a distance, similar to the way I don't know if you've ever seen those high frequency speakers. They're able to make little pieces of popcorn float. So you're able to, if you can do that with sound, you can also do that with electromagnetic energy. That's something that David Perez is doing at QED Technologies. Another application of that is the M drive that has microwaves bouncing around inside of a cavity that supposedly produces thrust. Another technology is asymmetric capacitors that produce thrust. Basically, asymmetric, highly coherent states of energy seem to be the key to
Self-sustaining, I assume.
to all of these technologies. And here's one of the craziest things. When it comes to at least the asymmetric capacitors, what we know about the energy requirement is it takes so little energy to actually produce the effect, it's possible that it's zero.
Or negative, or is that a stretch?
No, I know. We don't think it's negative, but from what they've seen so far, it's possible that the energy required, to travel interstellar is actually close to zero, just overcoming the inefficiencies of your system.
Okay, and if it's okay, I just have two more, and then I'd like to switch. If it's okay with the host, I'd like just a few questions about Amy regarding the science. Do you have a functioning over unity generator?
No.
Okay. I guess that's it for the science. I don't want to hog the mic too much. Regarding Amy's personality, I assume she was, well, obviously brilliant, eccentric. Is there anything you can tell us about Myers-Briggs? Was she left-handed? Was there anything that really stood out to you that you think contributed to her ability to make breakthroughs?
She was simply brilliant, and yeah, she was a very smart person. That's it. I don't know her Myers-Briggs personality type. I haven't really looked into it, but
was she left-hand dominant?
I don't think so.
Okay, but you're not certain.
No, I'm dual dominant.
Okay, all right. Yeah. And what was her last question? What was the thing that she figured out that gave you a jump start?
Nothing. There's nothing that she figured out that gave us a jump start.
Okay, and so that's why you think it's maybe also less likely she was killed, because there wasn't any major breakthrough you're aware of.
The major breakthrough that she keeps talking about is a published paper by her father about the spin couple force, and it was relating to this Alzafon experiment that I was already working on. I dated her hoping that there was a there, but I found out that it wasn't really there. It was mostly hyperbole, and her dad running a 3D printer once a day and pulling a part off and adding it to his lab. I worked with him in his lab. I helped him put things together. There wasn't that much science going on. We have a lot more going on here at Falcon Space than I ever
Entered the
saw going
room
on
in
there.
Doomer. If you got here late, kind of what was the nice succinct way of saying it was that she was probably getting fucked with because she was really good at bluffing publicly. But in terms of hardware,
She was
hands-on,
the PR person. She was a PR person for her group. So she was talking on behalf of other people that were doing the work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. And thanks, Tupa and Red.
to what Doomer was saying too, I'm kind of just curious about this, like movies, TV shows, music, food. What kind of things like that did she like?
Oh, it was actually she liked Taylor Swift, and when the first time she came to the lab, this was actually funny. I just picked her up from Newark Airport. We came back in, and I had a sound system built into the lab, and it was like connected to Spotify or whatever. And I wanted to play a Taylor Swift song, and I had a song on, and it was like in the middle of the song, and I just pushed play, and she was standing near the speakers. And Taylor Swift started screaming "Trouble, trouble" from the Trouble song, and she freaked out because it was so loud.
Oh, Mark, after Amy's death, was any of her work or research confiscated, taken?
No.
Okay.
Movies, TVs, food, and then we'll get to some more hands.
I
Don't remember. That's all good. Yeah,
we watched.
yeah.
I think the only movie I remember watching with her parents too was Waterman. That was by who's that Jewish actor who likes pickles? Adam Sandler. Yeah.
Missed that one. Okay, Adam Sandler. Love Adam. Keemstar said Happy Gilmore 2 was a perfect film. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go back to Jared because I think he is your friend, and then we'll go back around to the other hands. Jared, what's up?
Yeah, going back to the experiments that Mark was talking about, there's two other experiments you might want to talk about: the invisible wall and the serrated prisms.
Oh, right. Yeah. So in the invisible wall, that's the 3M. It happened actually in a couple places where they had rotating electrostatic fields. And by electrostatic, I mean like when you go down a plastic slide in the summer, you build up a field around you that's from just rubbing your body against the charged plastic. So that's triboelectrics. And when they were unrolling plastic at a 3M plant, they found that a force field would build up in the vicinity around the unrolled plastic. So we have a rig built, and we're going to be testing that probably when Jared comes. Another experiment is asymmetric Casimir cavities, which produce thrust without any energy input, which is probably the only that's probably turning 0-point energy into thrust, but it's a tiny amount. Asymmetric Casimir cavities. And we built them here at the lab, and they work.
Is that good, Jordan? Or Jared, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's at least 100 other experiments he's ran that we're not talking about, but those are some of the better ones.
Yeah, there's also Banduric, which is rotating electrostatic fields in a different way, different form of approach. Dot product discs with rotating electrostatic fields on an asymmetric setup. It's basically combinations of mundane things in weird ways.
Oh, there is one other thing. If y'all don't know, Mark also has a piece of the arts part sample.
Oh yeah, Jared loves that. That's a piece of a crash.
How do you come by that?
I got it from somebody special.
You steal it from Tom DeLong?
No. I got it. I got it through chain of custody, and it's confirmed that I got it.
What do you think about that piece? There was the crowd and stuff. People say it's just like scat or some shit, like metal scat.
Jared can talk to that. He's done most of the research on that piece, and I'm pretty convinced that it's definitely extraterrestrial. But Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, so Dr. Matthew Sadagas, he's definitely one of the go-tos on this, right? Everybody says that you need to have a PhD if you want to have an opinion. Well, he's got the PhD and he has a fantastic mind. But we've tested that thing 15 ways from Sunday. We've tested 3 other pieces from the original mother sample arts parts piece. There's been nanostructures that look like there's on there that could not have been manufactured in 1996. There's a lot of weirdnesses about it, and the story continues to evolve about it. But just know that the error report coming out 2 days after we presented our first findings on it was probably maybe not a coincidence. And their official report does not include all of the elements that Dr. Sabatoged has been able to identify using neutron activation analysis. So there's a lot of stuff in there.
Is the CRADA still active? Are you aware of that with the Army?
So I know there's a lot of Lou hate going on, but some things that I can say about that is in his book, where he said it was like 3.6 or 3.2 to 5.6 terahertz. The nanostructures we've identified in there seem to be tuned for that realm. So like those numbers are spot on. And supposedly Army DevCom, when they got the sample from TTSA, they put it under test under those frequencies and got it to do a weird thing that was immediately classified. And then it went from them over to Oak Ridge National Lab, where Sean Kirkpatrick made sure to bury the shit out of it.
Do you think it did? It floated? Is it because that's what Tom said on Rogan, right? You hit it with certain terahertz. And...
No, I don't think it was floating. I think it might relate more to what the Michael has been talking about with cloaking. It's like they had the story goes, right? Because you can't believe everything you hear, but the story goes is that they had an adjacent time of flight laser next to it, and the time of flight changed when it was stimulated with terahertz, meaning that it was doing some kind of metric changes to space-time, or it was, bending stuff. But we're getting way far off of Amy Eskridge.
But it's still fun though. We're all UFO nerds too at the end of the day, right?
Yep. The arts parts thing, the gist is that in 1996, it comes out into the public sphere, and then it gets tested. How Puthoff is brought in almost immediately on board. Kind of weird on that. It gets tested by over 100 different scientists. A few of those scientists that tested it took off little tiny rat bites off of it, even though it's explicitly said in the agreement that they signed not to do that. And then we ended up with one of those rat bite pieces, which led to us being able to test additional pieces at a much higher level of testing, and getting really good info on that will hopefully see the light of day one of these days. I pray to God.
So you think what do you think it turned invisible then when you said cloaking earlier? Or if you had to guess, right? No one was there. But what's your gut tell you?
Time of flight. It bent or it slowed the laser beam, right? I can't say for sure which of the two it was because I was not able to glean enough data, right, from the story that I was being told by somebody that was present. So the gist is either it bent the light so the light took a longer path, or it didn't bend the light like in a curve, but it just squeezed the space or expanded the space next to the thing so that the time of flight for that laser took longer or shorter, because I don't know whether it was longer or shorter. It took longer or shorter than it was supposed to. So it turns out that Mark is the eBay king. For anybody that doesn't know, Mark is the literal king of eBay. That man can get stuff for 99% off every day. It's amazing. So we managed to find ourselves a terahertz laser.
You found it, Jared.
Yeah, but you bought it.
Okay. But you found it.
So we got this terahertz laser from, I think, Sandia, for super cheap. And we should hopefully sometime in the coming year be able to test our arts part sample under that terahertz frequency, if it still works. We've radiated the shit out of it, so with the neutron activation, so we don't know if it'll still do the thing or not.
What do you suspect if it does the thing? What do you think it was? It was just a part of the ship, and their ship is surrounded by this material, so they could go invisible, kind of thing.
We don't know if it could be cloaking, if it could be propulsion, what it could be. But from my analysis of the nanostructures present, it appears as though it is able to take that terahertz frequency, and it's using the second harmonic of the stimulus of the terahertz. So you pump it with like 1.8, and then it has a second microstructure nanotech in there that doubles that. That doubled frequency ends up getting twisted, goes up through the bismuth layer, gets an additional twist, and so you have like this transfer of momentum that it could occur. That's one possibility. There's a dozen possibilities, but that's the one that I'm currently interested in.
Cool, man. Well, thank you. And if you have anything more, we'll after we get to some hands. Thank you, Jerry. Nice meeting you. And like I said, nice talking to you, Mark. Because I've seen you in the community, but I haven't really had like a full on talk with you. Cool. We'll go Raw. I think next has been waiting patiently. Then we'll go Buddy, then Philosophy.
Hey, Mark. I love that you're open source, and it seems like you're turning theory into application. I was wondering if you could give us more details about your lab and just your overall mission and how it relates to space exploration in general. For context, are you just interested in developing propulsion systems, or if an independent researcher came to you with theory and could lay out, okay, here's how you could experiment and prove this, and here's the technology, and here's how to create that, would your lab be able to handle a project of that scale?
Yes, and we do that all the time. That's how we got the asymmetric Casimir cavity project going. That was a independent project from a guy, Robert, I forgot his last name. He lives local here, and he came by with some Fresnel lenses or greeting lenses that he wanted coated in a certain way in order to make this asymmetric Casimir cavity. And we work with a lot of other scientists on ideas in making these concepts a reality, at least for a proof of concept. The lab's mission is to create proof of concepts of scientific breakthroughs that could explain how UFOs fly, basically making thrust in one direction without expelling anything in the other. Breaking Newton's law of, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So this lab, we're located in Hawthorne, New Jersey, which is kind of interesting because in Hawthorne, California, we got SpaceX. So we're the SpaceX of the East. Also, my last name is Sokol, which means falcon. So I'm not just, we didn't just come up with the name. It's actually my name. Yeah, so.
What does best case scenario look like over the next 10 years? Like, if you get all the contracts, do all the things, what's your big time goals, best case scenario?
So best case scenario would be complete the research over here. We'll probably keep it going. Build up a new lab. Sorry, going for a couple hours now. Build up a new lab with a capability of building a full-size prototype and having a full-size prototype where we actually have a working craft, that could go up and travel and mine the asteroid belt and whatnot, do all the great things that was promised to us in the Jetsons, and start moving towards mass production of said craft and putting an end to our dependence on oil, open pit mining, all the great things and exciting stuff that anti-gravity and free energy and all that stuff is supposed to give. We're not particularly concentrating on free energy. We're kind of just looking to use as little energy as possible in order to get as far as possible with travel.
Are you opposed to government contracts, philosophically, or are you open to that? That's where the big money is.
We're not opposed to government contracts, but we do want to make sure that the technology is not covered up.
Raw, anything else before we go to Buddy?
No, that was everything. Mark, I will be reaching out to you on DM if that would be all right.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we'd like to hear from you. And you can check us out on falconspace.org. You can message me over there directly as well.
Great, thank you. I'll look into all of that.
Tupa, a lot of bird synchronicities this weekend, huh, Tupa? Are you there? You mid-sandwich? You might be.
We got
Hey, cool.
philosophy.
I think it was Buddy first, and then philosophy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, brother. You know, I have a kind of a nerdy question. And do you remember when TTSA first came out and Steve Justice was leading the production of a new vehicle, you know, aspect of that company? And, you know, of course, his history is very well, you know, very high level history in terms of production of craft and novel technologies. And they showed a picture of the craft that they wanted to produce at that first press conference. And it was kind of a disc in the center and one long pointed end and one more stubby pointed end. Did that, and that design, by the way, and that desire to create that craft crashed pretty fast. I heard they were like too close to a pre-existing technology or something. So I would love to hear your thoughts on what technology you think Steve Justice wanted to implement in that design.
Well, I think the reason why the technology crashed and why they weren't able to do anything is because they were concentrated on making media. They were making videos. To make a video, something is pretty cheap. To make hardware and to run experiments is a totally different skill set and a lot harder, and also costs a lot more money, takes a lot more time. So they probably just didn't have the resources to actually follow through on that. But it's great that they had, you know, cool vision. And I do remember the craft you're talking about. It was like a saucer with a blackbird, you know, stuck juxtaposed on it. I think a flying saucer makes sense for a craft, and I'll explain why. So for dynamic nuclear polarization, orienting subatomic particles, microwaves are required. Now, the ideal microwave antenna is a dish antenna. Two dishes together is a flying saucer. People who get close to flying saucers get microwave burns. Amy Eskridge had microwave burns. Mark Sokol, working at my lab, I get microwave burns sometimes. Actually, we wear silver hoodies to protect ourselves from the microwaves. So everything is pointing towards microwaves. We have lots and lots of microwave equipment over here. We got it all from Sandia National Labs over eBay. And Sandia National Labs, that's the premier laboratory, the play place for all the big scientists back in the day. That's where the nuclear weapons were developed, and we got a lot of their stuff that they've used. So, you know, that's the path we're going on. We're trying to build something real. We're not trying to make movies out of it.
Good, buddy.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, brother. We'll go to philosophy, then Augustus hopped up. Hell yeah.
Hey, so this should be a quick one. I'm curious if Amy ever talked about sort of getting messed with externally, mentally by anything like psychotronic weaponry or.
Oh yeah, you want to go back and listen to it, brother? We kind of went deep on that.
Especially at the end of her life, she was talking about voices in her head, and we think it might have been drug induced from the nortriptyline, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were also if it was actually real too.
Okay, did she ever talk about like that maybe being electromagnetic in nature?
I don't recall.
Okay.
How about any paranormal stuff, like purely paranormal?
I had a cool thing.
Did you
We
or her?
took LSD together one night when I was in Huntsville, and I was tripping balls, and I had a out of body experience. That acid was super powerful. I was like floating in the room and like looking all over the place. You know, like total out of body experience, and she felt nothing. Like she just went to sleep. She was like, this is junk.
You guys took the same
The
dosage?
same dosage. She actually took 2. I took 1, and she felt nothing. And then when I came back to my body, I was trying to meditate on her, figure out who the hell she actually was, and I saw a tall gray alien. That's what like appeared in my fractal patterns.
No way. You saw that.
Yeah, when I was tripping on
No way.
acid next to her, just like Alien Protocols right there, his logo. That's exactly what I saw.
You
So
saw that
Above her?
Oh my god.
yeah, I would say she probably was a reincarnation of a tall gray alien in a human body who was trying to get off this planet.
I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is, what if she didn't have an effect from that specifically because she was being, I don't know, at least from my perspective, psychotronically interacted with by probably what you were seeing. And she was prevented, psychotronically from being able to have some of the neural effects from acid because of that. I don't know. What do you think?
I have no idea.
The what? So wait, the alien you saw, it was above her, right? Or was it
No, it
her?
was her. I was like, I closed
Oh,
my
okay.
eyes and meditated, and I'm like, who the hell is this person? Who am I sitting next to? And I saw what appeared in front of me, like out of the fractal forms. If you ever taken psychedelics, you see lots of fractals and they make different shapes. I saw a gray alien standing in front of me, like a tall gray alien. It wasn't the short ones, it was the tall one.
It's like right over her proportions, kind of thing. Or this was all still in your head. You opened your eyes and
no,
saw
I didn't
this.
open my eyes and saw it. It was only when my eyes are closed. It was
Okay.
where she was, like next to me.
Okay.
There
Gotcha.
was a gray alien there. Like,
But when you're thinking of this, trying to figure out who is she really meditating on it? When you think back on it now, does it in any way feel like maybe it was something standing in front of your ability or your meditation of her, like it was sort of I don't know. I guess I just wonder if a gray was psychotronically messing with you at that time to
well,
prevent any
I don't think
connection
so.
of some kind.
I don't think so. So, what I've learned about reincarnation is that everyone reincarnates. It's just the way of the world. You reincarnate into another living being, and the soul, whatever it is, you are a soul that has a body, but your soul is bound by gravity. So, if a gray alien dies on Earth, it needs to reincarnate into a human. Now, if you were a gray alien that died on Earth and you want to get back to your gray alien land, which body are you going to enter? You're probably going to enter Richard Eskridge's kid's body, because this guy is working on anti-gravity at NASA in Huntsville. It's a pretty promising ride home. So to me, that made sense.
Cool.
It's
Let's
a
go to
far out theory, but yeah.
I'm glad you shared it, man. I'm glad you shared it. Augustus, and then Jared, and then we'll probably close up here soonish. Maybe we'll get Logan to do it after space.
Yo, what's up, Mark? It's Augustus. I got the chance to interview you on Clubhouse a few
Hey,
times.
what's up?
I don't know if you remember me or not.
Yeah, Augustus Palenti. Now I get to see your picture. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, great show tonight, man. Just wanted to ask you like a fun question. What planet are you gonna go to first? When you get on the planet?
What planet am I going to go to first? Earth. I want to see New Zealand. I mean, if we actually built a craft, I would prefer to stay within atmosphere because it's a lot easier to. In outer space, you're one O-ring away from a very quick cold death. So I'd rather the safety margins of atmosphere. But once overcome that, I don't know. Titan would be cool. Maybe Mars. I don't know. Try.
What do you think of disclosure too? By the way, Mark, with everything going on, you think it's going to happen? Not going to happen? Arrow, all the dynamics.
I think anti-gravity disclosure is the only real disclosure that matters. I think if you want a top level official to come forward and say that aliens are real, we have the bodies and we have the craft, That already happened many, many years ago. Not David Grush. Philip J. Corso was the second in command at the Pentagon. Disclosure like that already happened. If you're waiting for the David Grushes of the world, the top security people at the Pentagon to come forward, that already happened. Do you want the president to come forward? Then what? Well, is it gonna change anything if Donald Trump comes forward and says aliens are real? Like, would it really matter? The only thing that really matters is the technology. The technology is the secret. The technology is the reason for the cover up. So until you can buy a craft, understand how they work, build a craft, it doesn't really matter. There's only one disclosure, in my opinion, that matters, and that is the technology. And all the other disclosures will follow that because they're all a subsystem of that disclosure. Like,
Do you think China and Russia have anti-gravity? And then we'll get to you.
I think Chinese and Russian scientists do. I don't think governments do.
Kind of like what we have over here, like a breakaway kind of government situation all around.
Because like if Xi Jinping is working on some anti-gravity and he finally gets something going in his garage down in Jinping, the people with the technology can just run over there and pick him up, and China no longer has anti-gravity because scientist Xi Jinping is gone. And that's kind of how it works, or that's how it works.
All right, cool. Jared, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the stuff Mark was talking about for the previous speaker with seeing the gray alien and the reincarnation stuff. Didn't you mention something about Jeremiah and Amy and coming from the same planet?
I think Jeremiah is also tall gray. Jeremiah and Amy actually look very similar. And that's weird because they're not genetically connected at all. I put them on a phone call together, and they looked at each other and they knew each other from a past life, and they have similar mannerisms. I think they knew each other in past life. Jeremiah is wicked smart, but he also knows how to build stuff.
Hey, can you say your theory one more time? Like it's so Amy Eskridge is like a time traveling like a gray alien, perhaps?
I think
reincarnated.
She's we're all reincarnated. Every one of us in this group here is all reincarnation of a soul that has been here before. The question is where that soul came from, and most of us are extraterrestrial. Some of us are extraterrestrial humans. Some, there's different races that come from different places. They say Sirius is where the black race came from, the spiritual black race, not maybe the physical too. I don't know. There's also the Orions. There's the tall whites. The Nordics that came from Lyra.
Well, I thought those were the cat people.
Oh, the cat people. The cat people are pretty cool. Yeah,
they're like Lyrians, I thought, right? Or
no, Lyrians are. And then this is all stuff that I'm talking out of my ass because I'm basing it off of, hearsay and stuff. But with Amy, we took acid together. I meditated next to her, trying to just ask who the hell is this person, and what appeared in front of me was a gray alien. Where she was, there was a gray alien when I closed my eyes and meditated.
Wait, you too?
What do you mean, me too?
No.
Wait, is Augustus talking or is it Falcon?
My hands raised. I was talking now. My hands raised.
Want someone to take some Hell's Bells? I saw some vampires.
Go for it, Augustus.
Yeah, so what makes you like? What do you think is reincarnating people? Because I don't believe in reincarnation, but if it were to be true, I would look at it almost as if we're on a prison planet.
What is people?
Souls living inside of creatures.
What is a soul? What is a soul?
Souls are divine. They're forms of divinity.
Okay, well, you got me there because I don't know what divinity is.
But what makes you what do you think is the thing that's keeping us reincarnating? Because I've heard theories that it's the moon, that the moon is like some
Um,
sort of reincarnation engine. Have you heard, what are your thoughts on what's like the
I have
technology
I have
keeping us
no idea.
reincarnating?
I have no idea about the moon being related to reincarnation, but um, I I'm basing this all off of the book The Holographic Universe by Philip J. No, not Philip J. Garcia. The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot, and he puts out a very succinct explanation to the universe. And when it gets to talking about the soul and the mind, what we notice is it acts like a scalar holographic interference pattern. Well, let me break that down. Scalar meaning it's round, it emanates from one point. Holographic meaning it's like a hologram. If you have a hologram picture of a rose and you cut it in half, you'd end up with two pictures of a full rose, not two halves of a rose, because the imprint of the rose picture is found in every single part of the hologram. It's an interference pattern. That's kind of how the brain works. Um, it What matters is the direction of energy, or from the pineal gland to the spot on the brain where the spike in energy is, and that's what brings up a certain memory, emotion, thought, and whatnot. So that's the brain is a hemisphere. So we're spherical. We're only accessing half of our soul when we're alive, because we can only interact with a hemisphere, with a half of a sphere. So we are spherical holographic interference patterns that are controlling these bodies, and we only have access to half of our brain. So what happens to this energy field when the body ceases to function? It goes back to source, but it's bound by gravity. And being bound by gravity, you can eventually reincarnate into another being that is coming, that is being developed. And there's people that have, come back from near-death experiences and describe this world where they see doors and different possibilities of who they can reincarnate into. There's kids that are born with memories of past lives. I remembered past lives. I remember playing the violin in my past life. And it's actually a fairly common occurrence that people remember something about their past life. They have maybe some deja vu, or they have some sort of resonance with a certain place. They kind of remember something about it. But some kids have like extremely vivid memories of dying in an airplane crash, and like leading their parents to exactly the spot where it happened. So I think the evidence for reincarnation is very clear. And there's never been a case of reincarnation where it's a different where it's a different animal. But there has been, and this is very consistent. There's no correlation to religion. Like you could have been a Buddhist priest in your past life, and before that you were an Orthodox Jew, and before that you were an atheist. Like there's no correlation, and that's one of the things that got me, questioning Judaism, because I'm like, fuck this. I can't be chosen one life and then not chosen the next. Like, is God playing a silly game over here? So, but on the other hand, something definitely happened at Mount Sinai, and the sea, definitely split. Something definitely happened. There's archaeological evidence.
Dude, but what do you think is like the mechanism behind reincarnation, like the process?
Choosing. The first choice in life is life.
So like you
God.
basically die, and then you choose who you'll come back as after you die?
Yeah, you choose your parents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, choose wisely. My neighbor in the old city did past life regressionism. His name was, I lived in the old city of Jerusalem for 7 years. And he told me there was one case of a girl who was raped by her dad. And she wanted to understand why. And they did a past life regression on her. And when you do past life regression, you're not telling the person what happened. You're getting the person to tell you what happened. It's like helping them with memory, kind of. And it turned out that in the past life, she was the father and he was the daughter. And they just had to flip the karma so both get to experience it from both angles in order to fix that. And yeah, there's lots of examples of things like that too. Like you kill somebody in one life, they come back and kill you in the next life. It's like just karma fixing itself.
Really? Goddamn.
Really interesting. Jared, go for it, and then Ra, and then we'll close up here.
Yeah, so there's this one high-level whistleblower that I've had chats with named Ito, who seems to have identified, and he's shown me the receipts, like he seems to have identified that there appears to be some kind of tech, some kind of MK ultra psychic tech or something, where they don't need to like capture the people and brainwash them anymore. Now they can, you know, do it at a distance. It's like psychic warrior type shit, right? So what I wanted to know was, specifically for Mark, like, do you think, and I know we have cleared the story. I feel like the Amy thing, like, we're pretty cut and dry. That it seems like the story that her family leans towards, right? The camera footage and all that. It seems like it was on her. But
You were there. You even saw where it happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw where it happened. It was, yeah. So my question is not necessarily for Amy, but do you think it's possible for any potential, you know, threats to the program? Do you think it's possible that there could be some kind of psychic warrior tech kind of thing out there that could influence people, whether it be like an AI that like shifts a person's like internet, you know, experience kind of thing, or even more esoteric, something that can actually somehow influence the way someone thinks to cause them to do or say things that they otherwise wouldn't do
Oh,
or
hell
say.
yeah. I mean, we talk about that. We talk about these downloads at APEC where people receive full-on fledged ideas about some technology that they have to build, and somebody else perks up. Oh yeah, I got the exact same download, and then they're just like yabbing on about how they're actually going to accomplish this. It goes both for positive and for negative, but mostly it's been pretty positive. That we're receiving these downloads, we're receiving these ideas that come in like fully formed as just like a downloaded package of information. This is how you have to do it. And we've seen that throughout history too, like with the invention of the sewing machine. There was two people that invented it simultaneously on different sides of the world. And it's a pretty complex thing, and you know, but it was done simultaneously by different people. How? That doesn't sound like chance. There's something else going on. There's a deeper level. The other thing you're probably alluding to is it nefarious or not? And that I think for the most part, most of the energies out there, most of the forces actually want this technology to come out.
Yeah, that was the direction that I was kind of trying to lean towards. Was you see the genius, right? The goddess of ideas, like touch people simultaneously in different parts, right? And like, yeah, we've had in our group where multiple people in our group will all have the same like dream idea download thing at the same time. But as far as to the negative side, like, I just can't help but wonder if it's possible that some group, nefarious group, that figures out how to co-opt such a thing into a negative force, if they've managed to utilize that against people to prevent them from coming out with some information or doing, you know, stuff that the group doesn't want them to do or
I
anything
think
like
Len
that.
Bear said that they were like putting voices in his head that like were saying just like kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, you hate yourself. So like, does that kind of go along with what you're kind of thinking of, Jared?
Yeah, exactly. Like when I was really getting into this, like I personally I noticed some of that kind of stuff. It was like uber bad ideas that are coming into your head, and you know, or into my head, and it's an external thing, and eventually you tell the ideas to fuck off enough, and they do. But this idea that if you're in a bad state, if you're in a lower filtered state where you can't necessarily filter out those ideas as much, and they just keep hammering you, and it just so happens that there could be some group out there that has the ability to amplify, to inject and or to amplify such ideas, it's interesting. And then you take that farther, and like how far can they take that? Can they inject all sorts of different ideas? Can they inject ideas in people around you? Right. And it gets super freaking schizophrenic sounding, like it blurs the line between schizophrenia and like real world / woo world psychic stuff.
What do you think, buddy?
I think there's a lot of possibilities and things probably going on, but there's been a lot of experiments done with electromagnetic fields and the brain and directed energy weapons. Persinger did the God helmet and found out stimulating different areas produces different effects, and different neurological studies have shown different electromagnetic waves produce different sentiments and feelings. Most creatures on Earth have a sympathetic resonance with the Schumann resonance. Our brainwaves, the calming brainwave state is the same as the Schumann resonance. So, our brainwaves are affected by exterior, magnetism and electromagnetism. So I think different things can stimulate different types of thought. I'm not a strong believer in necessarily controlling our thoughts from a distance, that kind of thing. But I do think there's other mechanisms whereby, our subconscious mind can connect to anything in my belief system. And a lot of inspiration can come through that when you're open to it. A lot of scientists speak about getting, information from extraterrestrials or NHI. I know, Gary Nolan told me about, an invention of his that came from essentially like what he believes was an NHI. But also people like Thomas Edison did auto-inquisition, trying to access the subconscious mind to solve problems. He had the famous ball in his hand and the notepad and the bowl underneath, and would write down a question. And when he dozed off to sleep, his hand would loosen up and hit the bowl and wake him up. And the first thing from his subconscious mind that hit him, he was to write down. And so a lot of different, there's a lot of different angles on this. And I just think this stuff is not studied enough. And I think directed energy weapons is a big deal here. And the effects on us from the electromagnetic spectrum is a really big, important deal, from Havana syndrome to, 5G and, all sorts of different things. It's really, I think it's deeply intertwined and, not studied enough.
Well, Mark, thank you, bro. I know it's getting late for you. Thank you, buddy, for that. Any closing thoughts you want to say or anything? And also, you should definitely come around more spaces. You too, Jared. Sometimes they could definitely shit shows, but sometimes they're just fun, casual. It's almost like a modern Coast to Coast to me is how I view it.
Yeah, I just wanted to give my side on the Amy Eskridge story. I know there was a lot of talk about her rape allegations. There is no truth to that. We dated for several months, and at no point did she tell me that I raped her. I actually searched all my messages, like you can do a search on it. That allegation came up a year later when she was being asked to join APEC, and I think, and Tim thinks this as well, that she just made it up in order to be spiteful and hurt APEC, because she really wanted to create that. She wanted to do that herself. She wanted to be on top of it, and if she couldn't be in charge of it, then she wanted to hurt it. When APEC.
Is that what the cease and desist was all about?
No, the cease and desist was much earlier. The cease and desist was it's right here on my wall. I'm going to check the actual date on that. It doesn't have a date, but this was like right after we broke up, probably in July or September of that year. Or August or something like that. It was in the summer, but after we broke up in July, so it was like in a month or two later, during the right after the Estes Park conference was over, right after she kicked us off Estes Park, and that's what got us to actually find funding, because somebody who was watching us for a while decided to finally fund us. Saw that we're doing actually real work. So in a way, what she was trying, she accused me of stealing anti-gravity disclosure from her,
and her actions then caused that to actually happen. Because if there is anti-gravity disclosure that's broke up in July, so it was like in like a month or two later during the right after the Estes Park conference was over, right after she kicked us off Estes Park, and that's what got us to actually find funding, because somebody who was watching us for a while decided to finally find us. You know, saw that we're doing actually real work. So in a way, what she was trying, she accused me of stealing anti-gravity disclosure from her, and her actions then caused that to actually happen. Because if there is anti-gravity disclosure that's going to actually happen, it's going to come through the technology. She wasn't building any technology, and all the actions she took since then led me to actually have a lab, build APEC, and you know, be in the position to actually do that.
Dude,
Kind of beautiful in a
you
way.
could say that Greys are kind of directing our evolution if he really was a Grey.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. Just like Jesus was directing our evolution, and yes,
Look at Tupa.
Yeah, Tupa too.
All right, Logan, are you good for the after space?
It would work. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Let's do it. Thank you, Mark. Thanks so much, man. Nice connecting. I'm going to close this out with some more Taylor. Yeah.